to go live on YouTube here. Hold on,
I have
boys.
I have no idea what the fuck it is, but I'm going to tell you.
Exactly.
It pissed me off.
I don't blame you.
Pull my damn knife switch out.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Why is this not monetized for tonight? For some reason, I am not monetized for tonight. Weird.
What the F does that mean?
I feel your pain, Bob.
I can't take super chats. Weird. I don't know why.
Oh, I see.
Weird.
Oh, that you got to be kidding me. This ought to be a show where people pay.
Well, I know that and you know that, but apparently we're going free tonight. Oh well, shit happens.
Whatever.
Oh well.
All we want is to make sure we get Steve and Skyhub get a ton of publicity.
Absolutely. Yep. Sweet. And hi everyone on YouTube. You know, we got some weird shit going on here. Weird shit. I got to tell you guys, okay? Before we get started, and I just told Science Bob and Sweet Stevie and William Pullen, okay? So about an hour ago, I'm trying to get ready for the show about an hour and 15 minutes ago, and I got no internet whatsoever. So I'm trying to figure out why I have no internet, and my internet box is completely dead. No lights on it, no nothing. All right. So here I am trying to figure out. I quickly get a hold of Cable Guy Matt, which, by the way, you can get yourself some free coaxial cable courtesy of Cable Guy Matt, autographed by him as well. You cannot buy these in stores, limit 2 per household. Anyways, so I call up Cable Guy Matt, and Cable Guy Matt's like, dude, you better check your plugs, otherwise go upstairs, get your other modem, and bring it back down. And I'm like, man, this is stressing me out because I don't know if that's going to work. And next thing I know, I start checking the plugs. Now, nobody has been in my studio since last night when I left. Okay? Nobody comes into this studio. All right? My cable box was unplugged for 6 hours. 6 hours. Don't know how it happened, but the plug, when I checked the cord, was literally out of the wall. Weird. Totally weird. Anyways.
You were jumping up and down. You were jumping up and down and kicked it out of the wall.
Shut up there, Science Bob. Stop trying to bring logic into this. No need for logic. Otherwise, you're going to be wearing Stan Smith runners like Pullen over there.
Well, Pullen and I might agree. You kicked the damn plug out.
I did not kick the plug out of the wall. My chair didn't even hit the plug. All right. Huh? Let's give a shout out to everybody who's here. You bastards. Tonight we're going to drop the glove. This is what I got to deal with, Sweet Stevie. This is what I got to deal with.
This is rough. It's rough.
I know.
We'll make it through tonight.
Hi to Cat Chaser, the Bee's Nest. Thanks for coming on in. Space Without Distance. Good to have you here. Hey, Scotty, thanks for coming on in. The Brett Lewis is here, everyone. We could officially start the show. And, of course, Cable Guy Matt is here. Noble Patrick, good to have you here. Greco, how's the baklava? Give us an update if you don't mind. Hey, Vintage Skills, your beard is looking fantastic tonight. Space Game Vet, always a pleasure, my friend. We have Kristen Alberg. She's looking gorgeous tonight. Worsley, good to see you here. I know we got gorgeous Jules. There she is. Go 66. Boo. How are you, my friend? Cookie, always a pleasure. Who else we got here? We got Raylan. Thanks for coming back, man. Philip Blair, good to have you here. Awesome. Annie Svensson is here, everyone. Xavier's back. Good to have you here. John, I hope you got that great hat on. I like that hat. Mr. Apnea, thanks for coming on in. And Minister Elaine, good to have you back. Gary the Spudger, always a pleasure. We got about 30 seconds left here, guys, so we're going to just... oh, yeah, now my mouse is acting up. Isn't that nice?
Oh, rats.
Oh, my God, you'd swear... What is going on here? 30 seconds. And who else we got here? Mr. Midnight. We got Lord of Land. Adnome is here. Daniel Adams. Good to have you here. Science Bob, everyone. Science Bob. Hey, Bigfoot Rob. Good to have you here. And Peter Venkman. Thanks for coming on in. Sweet Stevie. There you are in the chat room. Always a pleasure, man. We got 10 seconds. No super chat tonight. Just straight up good hardcore spaced out radio. We're going old school tonight. Going old school. All right, music's on. Hi, Penny. Good to have you here again, Penelope. Lufon, thanks for coming on in. Bigfoot Rob and the scoreboard crew. Let's have a plethora of drinks tonight. Hey, Roy. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you for tuning us in, especially if you're listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. All of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio as well. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a new feature on Spaced Out Radio starting tonight as we bring in our resident scientist, Bob McGwier, to discuss the scientific side of the supernatural and paranormal. Each month, Science Bob and his cohort, William Pullen, the UFO historian, will bring in a guest with a scientific or research background to talk about the practical and scientific side to all the high strangeness that surrounds us. Science Bob has specialized his work in the field of artificial intelligence and has been leading the way using computer technology to help detect UFOs and UAPs. So tonight, the special guest, we call him Sweet Stevie around here. Fantastic beard, great mustache, but smart as a whip. He is one of the leaders of Skyhub. Now, if you want to check out Skyhub, it's skyhub.org. You can follow them on Twitter at Skyhub10. I highly suggest you do, because they're going to break through this UFO stuff, man. This is for you and I. It's nothing to do with TTSA, nothing to do with MUFON, nothing to do with the government. Has everything to do with you. You think you got aliens? You think you got UFOs? Well, Skyhub is the answer. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Starting off with Science Bob McGwier here on Spaced Out Radio. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, Dave, and I'm looking forward to this new thing we're trying out. And I'm really happy to have William Pullen here, the UFO historian. And, of course, we're greeting Steve McDaniel, who is the founder and leader of Skyhub, the technical developer of almost all the code. And it's just great to have you with us tonight, Steve. And, William, what are you and Miranda been up to lately?
Just stuff here in San Antonio, organizing SAPRO, our new organization, and just keep our feet on the ground. It's a never-ending process. So it's fascinating. The whole effort to investigate UFOs is not just fascinating; it's downright fun. So enjoying every moment of it. So
it is indeed. So Steve, look, I know you because we've known each other for a little around half a year, but maybe some of the listeners do not know you. And I'd like for you to tell us as much about yourself as you are comfortable telling us. I think it's that you got a good story, and I'm sure the listeners want to know.
So, I'm Steve McDaniel, everybody. I'll give a little background on myself. I grew up as a software developer, did it as a kid. When I became an adult, I actually joined the military and spent 5 years in the Naval Intelligence as a cryptologic technician. I've spent a total of 16 years in the intelligence community doing hardware and software development. I've always had an interest in UFOs, and over the last year, I've become increasingly involved in developing software and tools to help research the UFO phenomenon. And specifically, I'm interested in pursuing scientific research for UFOs. And that's kind of how I got intertwined with Bob, is we worked on an effort to help push science forward in the UFO community. And I think we're doing that successfully.
Oh, it's so much. It's so much fun, Steve. It really is. So look, there are really quite a few aspects to this that I think our listeners want to know. And there have been other efforts to kind of point cameras at the sky, point magnetometers at the sky, but there are some major differences in the overall approach to the work that Skyhub is doing. And these are, it's a wide open, anybody can watch, transparent group effort. That's number one. Number two, there's machine intelligence, the use of machinery, computing with modern equipment that is just changing the face of the earth to make sense of the data that's received, lots of sensors, and wide open data at the end. So, Steve, why don't you go through these individual pieces, and we may have to take a break on the half hour if it goes long. But I really want you to go over for us those kind of big pieces of Skyhub and why that approach overall was taken.
Oh, definitely. So kind of when we got started with this, we acknowledged that it was important to be open and transparent. So there's been other efforts to try to research the phenomenon. There's been camera kits out there that are pointed up at the sky, but people sold them for profit and they weren't open. So when we did this, we decided that we were going to give all of our software away free, and all of the data that we collect on Skyhub is going to be released under a Creative Commons license. So you, the public, have access to everything that the network produces absolutely free. So, and Skyhub's not just about tracking the skies and pointing cameras upwards. It's about much more than that. We're interested in environmental readings, so we want to look at things like temperature and pressure, RF signals. We're interested in passive radar. We're interested in magnetic changes in the Earth's magnetic field. So we'll be testing all these different things and using lots and lots of different sensors like geophones to test low frequencies coming from the Earth. So we're really trying to look at every sensor available that's cost effective that we can deploy in a box. So if in fact a UFO does come within range of a tracker, we can look for anomalies and fingerprints from UFOs to help study. So this is really an observational effort. So when I got into this, I often heard that you can't study UFOs because they're not repeatable. Well, that's perfect, because that's what observational science is. It's meant for things that are not repeatable. So most of the people I know that say the scientific method requires repeatability aren't scientists. Observational science does not have to have repeatable stuff. So if you're going to make a hypothesis about something that you think the initial conditions mean, your hypothesis will say these conditions produce this effect, that needs to be repeatable. Otherwise, it's not falsifiable, so it's not really useful as a theory. So, Steve, tell us as much as you want about observational science, and in addition to that, please tell us about the kind of really the group Skyhub. I mean, I personally have watched it explode in size. It's now hundreds of people that are watching, many contributing, many buying equipment. So just tell us the current status of Skyhub. All right, we'll do that. So essentially what we're trying to do right now, we're trying to get Skyhub trackers out there deployed all over the globe. And we're trying to get people like you out there setting these trackers up and getting all the equipment and turned on and connected to the network. Now, the great thing is the more trackers we get, the more data we get. And if there's multiple trackers in your geographic area, we can take videos of UFOs from different perspectives and get better evidence to support research in UFOs. Now, the community has been great. We're having people come in every day, setting up more trackers. We have great developers and contributors that are working on documentation, source code. So we have people like Corey Gaspard that have written large portions of the UI and made major code contributions and is one of the core developers on the team. And we have other enthusiasts like Adam Allen that's helped drive this project. We have great people like Justin and Richard. Richard came in and he designed a beautiful enclosure for the Skyhub tracker, and you can see that rendering on skyhub.org. So yeah, we really have a great community, and Chris Cogswell recently joined the team and has been attracting some academics and other researchers from different universities and projects to get involved in Skyhub. So to date, we've gotten some astronomers and meteorologists and some radio astronomers involved in the project that are looking to do research and helping us build this network out for the public.
Steve, why is this important? Sorry, Bob. Steve, why is this important to the public? Why is it important to try and be able to track this aerial phenomena when so many people still do not believe in the science of it all?
So it's really interesting. So, and I think that answer is going to vary person to person. So I'm going to give you the best answer I can give. So just a little background. I'm a skeptic. I require evidence for everything, and I'm very skeptical. So a lot of the evidence that you get out there in the UFO community is not always the best. A lot of it's circumstantial. A lot of it's anecdotal. Unfortunately, we're stuck looking at, old case files from Project Blue Book that, was 20 or 30 years ago or even longer ago. So the reason this is important is because we can have a hard data set from all over the globe with controls that is irrefutable. So we can collect all this video and sensor data and take it to researchers and just say, here's how we collected it. Here's what we collected. This is definitely real. And this is what we found. And honestly, the right answer is we're not really sure what we're going to find, because I'm not sure we really have a good answer what the UFO phenomenon is, but I'm hoping that we can bring some clarification onto that.
Yeah, one of the neatest things that's going on, Steve, is you mentioned Richard Hoff. So tell us about the process he went through to 3D print these enclosures. So
I can't speak intelligently like Richard could on that, but it was actually kind of amazing. So Richard has actually been with the project since the beginning, and at the time he was just involved wanting to set up a tracker. Then one day he says, I'm working on an enclosure, and all of a sudden he pops up with these absolutely wonderful renderings of the Skyhub enclosure. So he actually went through and designed out 3D printable parts that you can print on any 3D printer, and a few pieces for the enclosure that have to be laser cut and measured. And he built out this whole enclosure that encloses a power supply and all the components, and mounts a fisheye camera on top in a camera holder. And it's a wonderful enclosure that he's actually had deployed out in Austria for nearly a month, and it's done great with the weather and rain, stayed dry and stayed clean. So we're very happy with how that box is performing in the weather.
So I know Corey is the lead web developer and does some development operations support and pushes out your latest developments. Tell us as much as you feel comfortable, given that you're not Corey, about Corey.
So you know what, Bob. So when we first started development, I was the only developer, and I was basically slinging code as fast as I could, and I was so happy that Corey came along, because he's a professional web developer and he has tons of DevOps experience. So one of the things that Corey has really done is he's built out the infrastructure for the Skyhub network and really made our cloud infrastructure more resilient and stable. So kind of the piecemeal thing I hacked together in the cloud, he turned it into more of an enterprise endeavor that you'd see at a big company. So he brought that experience in and helped build out our release process. So now we can push out releases to Skyhub trackers very quickly and very easily, and it's seamless for the user, which is really important. And he's also implemented great things for developers. So if you're a developer, Corey's already got everything set up and ready to go for you. Just come join the team and start writing code.
That's great. William, jump in.
I'm just over the hill enjoyed the process of listening to real science being applied to this phenomenon. There's been short-term scientific efforts to study science, to study UFOs. But all three of us know science demands a long-term examination of a phenomenon, not short-term. You need a long cross-section of data, regardless of what that data shows, a long-term examination over a long period of time consistently to wrap your head around what may or may not be going on. That has never happened with UFOs. It never has. There's been short-term investigations and what have you. And you guys are exactly right. We end up looking at cases that are 40, 50, 60 years old that are strictly anecdotal testimony, hardly any physical evidence. And usually that physical evidence is not gathered correctly. And no real scientific examination of what's going on or what's been, testimony only gets us so far. We need to combine it with some level of high-quality science and data gathering to combine those aspects to get us some answers. And this, to my mind, is the first real long-term effort in that direction. And that's a huge deal. We got to move past stories. Stories are fine. People are describing truly anomalous events that are bizarre, that we can't wrap our head around, that suggest strongly at times something non-terrestrial occurring, which demands an examination. But just relying strictly on stories is not good enough. We need to take the next step, and science is part of that. So listening to you guys, your banter, I'm so happy. You'll never hear me go again. So.
Yeah, that's only when I talk.
I don't know, William. I'm going to miss it if we don't go at least once tonight.
I'll still do it.
Okay, so Steve, look. Keep going, William. Sorry.
No, and the other aspect that you guys brought to bear is the fact that we need more highly qualified, highly credentialed people examining this problem. We do. We've always had a shortage of UFO field investigators, whether it's APRO, MUFON, or NICAP. There's never been enough boots on the ground to look at this stuff. And those individuals, the majority were not trained in the scientific method. They weren't trained in how to really examine a phenomenon or a case, an event. And to my way of thinking, and it's just my own professional take, is that we're still describing events like a car wreck, a volcano eruption, a species going extinct, a tornado, what have you. It's still an event. The difference is that we're getting sighting reports that describe events that are a little anomalous, a little less everyday, but it's still an event. We can still use the same process to examine it, regardless of whether it's paranormal or not. That should not make a difference. And going past that, we've like I said, most field investigators are not highly trained in that direction. They're not. That's nothing against them, but it makes logical sense. There's no way to argue against this. There isn't. It makes logical sense to have highly educated, highly credentialed people from different backgrounds and different disciplines attacking this problem. We never really had that before. We've had a few astronomers. James E. McDonald comes to mind. Stanton Friedman was highly credentialed. But in general, most UFO researchers are not highly credentialed scientists. They're not psychologists. They're not highly trained in any kind of discipline to really bring a new perspective to this endeavor. And we need that. We desperately need that. We can't rely on just lay people. They've gotten us so far, but to take the next step, which is important to really get us somewhere in a positive way, we need highly educated people looking at this problem to really get us somewhere. I think that's vitally important.
I think Skyhub is getting the data for these highly credentialed people to take a look at and do some things. Steve, you mentioned one aspect of this that is widely talked about. It's a kind of a mentioned buzzword. And one of the major facets of Skyhub is the storing of this data. So you mentioned the cloud storage. Kind of go over that in a little bit of detail in the last few minutes before we have to go to break.
All right, I can talk about that. So when the tracker's deployed, we're going to use machine learning and AI to help filter through all this video data. So when we see interesting things in the video, that'll trigger an event that uploads the data into the cloud. So once this cloud infrastructure is available, you're going to be able to go on and watch videos from all these trackers all over the globe. Now, there's one really important thing here. Video storage is very expensive in the cloud. So all you users out there that are interested in Skyhub and that data, go jump onto our Patreon and make a pledge to help support our storage infrastructure so we can keep as much of this video data as possible, because it's going to be important keeping a repository of this data. We want to keep several years of data for research. So once this data is in the cloud, we can make it available for data scientists and other researchers to get a hold of this data and all the sensor data, the video data, and run analytics and do analysis to help find other interesting data points in that data set. So we really want to, like one of my goals, one of my personal goals is to create a data set and submit it to Kaggle for a data science competition and just let data scientists all over the world analyze this data with machine learning.
I think that's a great thing, Steve, because you and I both know that New Fork took their data set, made it available, it was put into a Kaggle, and well over 100 data scientists that may have never looked at a UFO piece of data or event in their life jumped in and did a lot of interesting work on that Google Kaggle. A Google Kaggle is, let's call it a database with lots of infrastructure that makes it easy for data science to do analytics on the data. I think Davenport did a great thing by letting that data go. And so you're talking about doing the same thing for Skyhub.
Exactly. And you know what? You really can't like quantify that cost. All those experts putting in their time for free to analyze your data is worth so much. So really, the openness of our data set and our platform allows people to come in and do research for free. And I think that's why people are getting so interested.
Yep. So
1 minute, guys.
Keep going. Keep going, William. Yep. Go ahead, William.
No, it reminds me, this whole conversation about the sharing of the data is that generally that scenario has not transpired. Usually, the sighting report data we have, which admittedly is the vast majority is anecdotal, but usually researchers in different civilian organizations don't share data. They don't. There's no reason why that should be going on. If we're going to somehow wrap our head around what's going on, we need to be able to examine all the data, all of us, to come to some sort of consensus. But this lack of sharing, or this fractured sharing, where you have some data and some groups don't share it, doesn't get us anywhere. This open sharing allows people to examine this stuff and do some quality work on it. That's only a good thing. So
absolutely
great stuff.
I just want to add quickly that you were talking about credentialed scientists. This is how science is done by academic scientists.
That's right.
Their data that's made available to everyone.
All right, Bob, hold that thought. Bob, hold that thought, because we got to step on out. Science Bob and Friends on Spaced Out Radio, a new feature here tonight with Science Bob McGwier, UFO historian William Pullen, and from Skyhub, Steve McDaniel. We continue right after this.
Great stuff.
We're clear.
It's fun.
That's good. That's a good first half hour, everyone. Good first half hour.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
We might even get used to this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is outstanding. Steve, William Pullen, great to meet you, sir. Honored to be on the air with you.
Nice to meet you.
And Bob, is always a distinct pleasure.
Oh, yeah. You know how much I like you and Miranda there, William. It's been so much fun being on SOR and getting to know you.
Oh yeah, the feelings are mutual. Yeah, I mean, yeah, can't beat it. Yeah, and we extend this to other aspects of paranormal. I mean, these are still events. These are still things that are happening, that are being observed, which suggests we can use science to explore them. There's no reason why not. For some reason, I think a lot of people that are experiencers, or however you want to label them, they feel those anomalous events are somehow different. And yes, they suggest something anomalous. Yes, they're not ordinary occurrences. They may not be mundane, but they're still events. If you break them down just to the core, it's still an event transpiring in our universe, which means you can use science to explore it. You can examine it scientifically. There's no reason why not. I mean, I don't know why there's been an anti-science push. Maybe that's a statement about society in general, or is it political or what have you. But it seems to be that there's a pushback against science. And I don't know if that's people that are anti-science or people who just don't understand how science really works. I think it might be a little bit of both. But it's to the detriment of the entire UFO field, extended to paranormal. If we don't use science on some level, we have to.
I definitely agree, and I think you're right. I think it's both of those things. And one of the, like, I consider this all the time. There's so much hard science that can be done right now that's not done, and it's the metrics and you can measure your performance doing the hard sciences. With this, it's so much more difficult, just because the foundation that you're working with is not like the hard sciences. There's so much missing that I think we can work to fill that gap to make it easier to research. I'm kind of hoping we achieve that goal with Skyhub by producing, terabytes and terabytes of data.
Oh yeah.
I would think so. I mean, I would think so, because the higher quality sightings on the UFO books are still, the majority is still anecdotal testimony with some physical evidence, some radiation traces, landing marks, something physical we can examine. But
right,
if he can combine that with some level of long-term scientific examination, that's a big hole you can fill. That's a consistent hole. That's prevalent no matter what decade you talk about in the UFO field. It's a big hole there that hasn't been filled, and an effort like this can fill that, which might give us an idea of what's going on instead of just educating. It'll get us past random speculation and more toward educated guesses, because we have the data to back it up.
2 minutes, boys. 2 minutes.
The other thing is, I can't wait till we have the Skyhub network out with thousands of nodes deployed in the next Phoenix Lights events happens.
Yeah,
it's recorded on hundreds of cameras.
Yes.
Well, we know there's some serious hot spots where that is likely to happen. And I think it's not dumb to try to place the Skyhub sensors near these hotspots. I mean, we need people to step up and want to do it.
Absolutely.
Instruments don't lie. People can misidentify things, but instruments don't lie. So get some level of instrumentality in an area that seems to be more active. That's it right there. 1 minute.
So, I got a couple questions from the audience coming on in. We're at 106 people on YouTube right now. So that's pretty solid. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Oh, that's great.
They're all here to see William Pullen's khaki pants, freshly pressed.
And my perfect beard.
And your perfect beard, Science Bob. That's right. That's right.
It's a luxurious mat of facial hair. Well done.
Oh, you guys are beautiful.
Steve knows that I started this with the coronavirus, and I just guess I'm going to keep it.
You should. That's character. You're a distinguished gentleman, a man of science to be dealt with. Good man.
How about Marty on Twitter? Good snark from Marty on Twitter. He's one of our favorite veterans. He's a Vietnam veteran, and we love him around here. He says on Twitter, I don't know about anyone else out there, but I hope I never have to hear a bunch of supposed experts make multiple mooing sounds on this show ever again.
That's funny. That's funny because I don't think any of us would call ourselves an expert.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, guys, here we go.
None of us would.
Here we go. Where is that question?
Expert. That's not. UFO expert is an oxymoron.
All right. Here we go. Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us We really do appreciate it. If you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We got a new feature tonight, Science Bob and Friends, where we get to all the technical sides and the scientific experimentations that go on throughout the world of the paranormal. Tonight, we are joined by UFO historian William Pullen, and from Skyhub.org, Steve McDaniel. We call him Sweet Stevie around here, all because of his fantastic beard and mustache. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say this half hour. Gentlemen, welcome back. And I want to start off, if you don't mind, with a question for all three of you. This comes from Andrew, and he is asking, is there any guarantee that the data will remain open source and available to the public and not be hoarded by some corporate entity? Steve or Bob?
No, that's for Steve.
Or for Steve?
So yes, we are going to keep this public. So just so everybody knows, we use a Creative Commons license that's free for the public and free for academia. And we have a stipulation on our data. It cannot be used for commercial use. We don't want someone coming along and monetizing your data and turning it into a product and selling it. So that prevents private companies from making derivative works out of the data that we produce in Skyhub. So we own this data. The public owns this data. And that's so important. Just with the source code that we're producing is owned by the public. It is free. You can take it, you can change it, add to it. So we want to make sure that we are as transparent as possible through this whole process. We want you to know how we collected the data, how we're storing the data, and how we're sharing the data.
That's great. So I know heavily involved in this is a person well known on Reddit and on Twitter is Space Cowboy 78 Adam Allen. Many that see him there don't know that he's a lawyer, and so he's played a big part in this data licensing.
Yeah, and just a note on that, Adam, Space Cowboy 78 basically got all this worked out for us and got all the legal and licenses put together for the data. So we make sure we do the right thing and share this with the public in the right way.
Awesome.
The thing I want to emphasize, I want to give this just a different perspective. So my main interest is working on the RF sensors that will go in the system, because I'm a subject matter expert in these RF systems. That's my main interest. And now that we're swapping over to kind of working on the sensor parts, I really feel like I can make a contribution for like a major contribution for the first time. So, but I don't want to, nor do I ever intend to own a piece of this RF data. And that's just kind of, and I know you feel exactly the same about the video. So it just makes no sense for the overall goals of the project, which are to blow open a hole in active data for anyone to use for any reason, for people to own the data.
Mm-hmm. And Bob just brought up that he's an RF expert, and he's going to add a great capability to the Skyhub tracker, and he has an expertise that no one else on the team has. So all you experts out there that have experts in optics and infrared and other sensors, come join the project and come implement a cutting edge technology in this platform, and we'll get it out to all the enthusiasts across the globe.
All right, I got a question. I got a question from SJ in the YouTube chat room. He is asking, Steve, is there a way to do a one-time donation to Skyhub, because the Patreon account seems to be recurring?
Say that one more time.
Is there a way to make? Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
If you go to support Skyhub on the skyhub.org webpage, you will see under Support Skyhub the one-time donation tab.
Yes, and that one-time donation will let you do a one-time donation to our PayPal. So you can either do a pledge on Patreon, or you can do a one-time PayPal donation. It's your choice.
Yep.
All right.
And just let's give some people kind of an order of magnitude, Steve. What is kind of the order of magnitude from your best guess right now on the amount of data that will be generated, how much it will cost for the cloud storage? And I really just want a scientific, wild ass guess. What is the order of magnitude?
So just to give a bare minimum, I'm going to run through a couple numbers here. So to do an enterprise infrastructure that has, failover and backup and doesn't go down, so we want something to stay up 24/7, it's going to be bare minimum about $500 to $600 a month. And that's just to get started. So once we actually start accumulating data, we're easily going to break the $2,000 or $3,000 mark a month for cloud and storage costs. If we grow our network large, those costs can rise $8,000 to $10,000 a month for lots of compute and storage. But within the next year, I'm sure we're going to break the $1,000 mark on cloud and storage fees per month. So
okay, keep going. Sorry.
So and it really depends on how many trackers we get out there. So I've done data projects in the past where my storage fees were about $2,000 a month to store about 1 terabyte of data in a cluster. And we're going to have much more than 1 terabyte. Fortunately, storage costs keep going down, but we're going to use a lot of storage.
Okay, so that kind of number probably makes people think, ooh, if it takes that much just for storage, boy, this equipment must be really expensive. And that's kind of wrong-headed thinking, isn't it?
It is. So if you want to deploy a Skyhub tracker, we really sat down and looked at this, and we wanted to make affordable options. We wanted to make this available to most people. So bare minimum, you can deploy a tracker for about $300, and you can get the equipment and deploy it. Now, if you have a lot of expendable income and you plan on building a mega tracker, you can spend thousands of dollars buying optics and cameras and computing equipment. But there's really a good range there for someone that just wants to deploy one at their home for a few $100, or someone that wants to set up a very large sensor array with high-end optics. And, really the sky is the limit when you're talking about buying high-end optics.
So having done these kind of sensor projects for my work, it often makes sense to have a person or a group with a high-end system surrounded by other smaller systems, because all that data together is fused when you do these analysis products.
And, I'd really love to see high schools get involved in STEM programs and build one of these. And really, the Skyhub tracker is an observational science platform that's a perfect project for STEM, because you're talking about learning about computers and sensors and cameras and machine learning. So it's really a DIY project that high school kids could do for a STEM project for a high school and throw it on the roof of the high school. And, the kids are learning about how sensors work and how operating systems work, and they can use it for tracking meteors and other things in the sky. So it's really something that kids and people can get interested in just to learn about STEM.
Okay, I have one more question before I pass it off. So a lot of the UFO data we see online is video, and there are lots of people like Scott and In the Field and other people that constantly are remarking, we know what this is, it's not what you're claiming it is. So tell me, what about the Skyhub sensor in your design and the approach of the team will help mitigate misidentifying objects as UFOs when they're actually something else? What is the overall long-term plan for making that better?
So You always have to start somewhere, and I'm sure everybody hears these buzzwords like machine learning and AI, but those tools are actually very useful. So what we're doing is we're taking algorithms that are available that were made by Google and Amazon and other companies, and these tools are used for detecting and tracking objects in video streams. So we're taking pre-trained models that were made by data scientists, and we're using those in our platform. So these pre-trained models will detect things like airplanes and birds and bugs and other objects. So over time, as Skyhub starts to accumulate a large data set from all the trackers, we can crowdsource to get people to help label objects. So we'll be able to label simple things like planes and birds and bugs at first, but over time, we can get users to help train our data set and start basically using that data to train better and more accurate models to help filter out other objects. So the goal is to truly filter out known objects and focus in on the unknown things. And that's going to be very important as we basically use this data and correlate this data back to better models.
Okay, so that's human intensive. So tell us about some of the more automated ways that one might add other data in an automated way to rule these things out that are commonplace.
So some of the data sources that we can correlate, we can use things like ADS-B, so we can actually track airplanes using ADS-B signals, and we can help filter out known flights in your area. So we can immediately rule out anything broadcasting an ADS-B signal, which is going to be very important. It'll eliminate a lot of helicopters and planes flying by. And we can use other data sources similar to that to help rule things out.
Yeah, one of the great complaints, of course, is going to be how often things like Elon Musk's satellites are going across the sky, still illuminated by the sun, being mistaken for UFOs. The nice thing is the data sets that allow you to identify those spacecraft are open to the public, so it'll be possible to exclude those things from the data set as well. So airplanes, satellites, and other astronomical objects, those things can be excluded from the data set by using the computers involved in the system. That's really amazing. And the nice thing, Steve, is I'm sure you've seen it, I've seen it. I just want to make sure that everyone listening knows these are really inexpensive computers compared to, say, the computing and sensors that were needed as little as 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah. And I can talk a little bit about the platform. So our core platform is an NVIDIA Jetson platform. It's a small embedded board that's intended for edge AI. So basically, you deploy this little tiny board, and it's got specialized hardware to run machine learning algorithms and process video streams and other sensor data. So what you really get for $100, you get a very powerful GPU with very powerful machine learning hardware that's very, very capable. I mean, 10 years ago, you couldn't do this. You couldn't even run a neural network because computers weren't good enough, but now you can buy a $100 board that's capable of running sophisticated machine learning algorithms. And that's what we based our platform on, is basically a cutting edge platform to run the best machine learning models available on to the world today.
And you don't have to use, but you don't have to use low resolution cheap cameras with that board. It's amazing.
Yeah, it truly is. And we hit a big milestone recently. We have our platform running on the hardware acceleration, and we're using NVIDIA CUDA. I don't know if there's any techies out there that appreciate that, but we're using all the hardware acceleration on the platform and using CUDA machine learning to do our deep neural network inference. So, there's a lot of great things that we've accomplished recently that allow us to process lots of data very quickly.
Yep, from 0 to 8 months, and this stuff is happening. It's just kind of amazing. William, I know you're a UFO historian, and I know you have to have some kind of comments on what a sea change this sounds like.
Well, I mean, even without science having been used to any great extent in the UFO problem, the majority of researchers and legitimate investigative groups have arrived at 90 to 95% of these things are mundane, identifiable. They're bugs in a windshield, birds, the planet Venus, misidentified aircraft, weather anomalies, atmospheric issues, something other than unexplained. So the percentage of unexplained is very small, 5 to 10%. Of those, how many are extraterrestrial? We don't know, if any. We don't know. I think a small percentage are, but it's a very small percentage, I think, in my humble opinion. But when we use science to examine the skies over long term, what you guys are describing, that allows us to eliminate things more quickly. Things that are mundane. We're not interested in a bird. We're not interested in a DC-3 or what have you. We're interested in something truly anomalous, potentially species changing, an alien spacecraft. That's what we'd love to see. And if we spend less time examining the mundane, it allows us to focus our efforts on things that are really out of the ordinary. And using technology in that way gets us there. We spend a lot of time in UFO research examining cases that don't pan out, examining cases that end up being explainable phenomenon, mundane explanations, naturally occurring events. Very few of these things end up being truly anomalous. That takes a long time to get to that point. If we use science and technology, instrumentality to do that same kind of effort, it takes us a lot less time, which allows us more time and effort to spend on truly anomalous events. So that's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. And again, I've mentioned to Dave on many programs before, whether we're talking about paranormal or the UFO problem or what have you. It pays for us to use every tool in our toolbox to investigate these problems. We can't leave any stone unturned, including science. But in this field, science is not really embraced too much, and that's to the detriment of the field. With science, we're able to more thoroughly examine really anomalous events, which may end up giving us some answers as to what's going on, and would give a perspective to UFO witnesses they didn't have before. Instead of just hearing the opinion of a researcher who's done some good work, we could examine and provide the data they want. Data doesn't lie. Instruments don't lie. Instruments don't misidentify things. They're cut and dry. They're black and white, as opposed to human beings. Human beings are not they're not the best observers. The human brain is not a extremely accurate storage unit for information. It isn't. And memories change. Data does not change. Instruments don't record things incorrectly. They record what they see, and it's black and white to be examined. And that's vitally important in this field. So, and on a side note, to respond to a gentleman who made a comment on the YouTube link, I would never label myself a UFO expert. That's an oxymoron. Nobody in this field should label themselves an expert. You can't be an expert in an enigma. That's illogical. So I take issue with that term. So sorry, Bob. Back to you.
No, that's good. Dave, have you seen an interesting question on any of the people that are following?
We actually have. And, one of the things that I wanted to ask first to Steve in regards to this is how, for a lot of people who aren't technically savvy, how easy is this to set up in their own home? And will it work in a Canadian type winter?
So it is easy. And the one thing I will say about it, so it's going to be easier for some than others, but we are here to help you. So you can check out our chat at chat.skyhub.org. And we are willing to walk anyone through the setup and install process and get your tracker running. So we have a room of hundreds of people in here. There's usually about 20, 30 people online. We are here to help you. We have documentation and guides to help walk you through the process. We can jump on a Zoom call or do a chat. Really, the community is here to support you and help get your tracker on the network. And your candidate question. So yes, the Skyhub tracker enclosure that we're working on, that Richard built, has done very well in the weather. Now, it has not been tested in the winter yet, But as a community, we'll be doing testing across the globe in different climates, hot, cold, wet. So over time, yes, we're going to test deploying that in the winter and make sure that it works for people that are deploying the tracker. So those are things that we're actively testing.
All right. Question from Space Without Distance, as we got about 3 minutes left before we go to break at the top of the hour. They're asking, does a sample of the kind of data scanned for presently exist for viewing?
So we do have a YouTube page with some of our test videos from some of our test trackers. There's some really great videos from a high rise in Houston, Texas, that you can view on Skyhub's YouTube page. Soon we'll be making more video available and working through the processes of getting data or videos automatically published. So over the next couple months, as our test network gets more mature, we'll start publishing that data for the public to start reviewing automatically.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right, let's get to another question here from our audience, if you don't mind. And this one comes from Worsley. Does any of your equipment have the capability of sensing gravitational disturbances or neutrino bursts? That's probably no as of right now.
So we do have magnetometers, and so we actually have accelerometers, magnetometers, and an inertial measurement unit. So we're doing measurement on a few different things. So yes, we do measure magnetic changes on the sensors. So we can do that. Now for the neutrino question, no, we don't currently do that. If you have a cost-effective idea for doing a neutrino sensor, which I'm not sure how you're going to do that. That's very difficult and very expensive to do currently. But if you've got that figured out, you let us know. One thing that we can do that is one of my goals and one of the next iterations of the Skyhub tracker is making a muon detector. So MIT actually published plans in a kit to build your own muon detector for less than $100. So we actually plan on adding a guide and the ability to add in a muon detector in your tracker so you can detect muon collisions and send statistics back to the database, which would be fantastic to have a global network of muon detectors.
All right, quickly follow up, as we got about 35 seconds left from Worsley. Is there any way to make this into an app and pair several phones to work in tandem?
Yes, that is possible. We do plan on making a mobile app to send alerts from the tracker to the mobile app. There has been some loose discussions about potentially using the camera as another source of data. But the Skyhub tracker is a big undertaking, so we've spent most of our technical efforts on the tracker itself.
All right, gentlemen, you hold on. We're going to go to break here at the top of the hour. We have Science Bob and Friends tonight, as Bob McGwier brings in William Pullen, UFO historian, his sidekick. I'm here somewhere. I don't know where the hell I am right now, but I'm telling you right now, it feels good. It feels good. And our special guest tonight from Skyhub, we have sweet Steve McDaniel hanging out, breaking down how Skyhub could re-innovate the field of ufology and how we look for UFOs. Hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio's Science Bob and Friends continues after this. Solid hour, boys. Solid hour.
That was fun.
Yeah, that flew by.
Well, that's normally what happens around here. I mean, William can attest.
It always does. It flies. It flies.
All right.
Oh, yeah, it goes that fast, yeah.
You guys talk. By the way, my Canucks are up 3-2 on St. Louis right now, so I'm just a little excited. We got about 12 minutes left. I will be right back, and you got the YouTube people listening in on you when you chat.
All right. I'm going to go grab a cup of coffee. I will be right back.
Okay.
William, what upcoming event do you have?
I was just remarking that just thinking that the fact that the data is free is not, there's no chance it could be used for any kind of profit. That keeps it out of the UFO industry, keeps it out of the
Oh, so happy.
There's a money making aspect to the UFO phenomenon that has nothing to do with the problem. It has everything with selling books and tickets to conventions and T-shirts and that kind of nonsense. Keeping the data outside of that realm is vitally important.
Well, it's hard to get real serious scientists to trust anything that's filtered through that milieu. So this just bypasses all of that.
Yeah, that's extremely important. I can't stress that enough. Yeah, because this one aspect of this phenomenon, the reason it's not taken seriously is because of that. All that riffraff surrounding it. So I mean, there's no riffraff around quantum mechanics. There's no riffraff around island biogeography. There's no riffraff around all these other scientific endeavors. But the UFO problem is viewed as a pseudoscience because of that. And keeping it out of that realm that's a huge deal. Along with sharing the data openly for the public to examine, keeping it out of the industry part of it is a big deal too. It may be more important because then scientists might be they would entertain the idea of looking at this data more comfortably. They would because it's not part of this whole riffraff that's part of the problem. So,
okay. So I'm only going to say one small exception, and that's this. So quantum mechanics and quantum field theory is based around this set of hypotheses that basically have flowed down since the beginning of the 20th century from Bohr about how quantum mechanics should be interpreted. Yeah. Okay, so there's a measurement problem, and people as well known as John Archibald Wheeler believed the observer could impact quantum systems. So that means an intelligence or an intelligence or consciousness can impact a quantum system. So I just want to say that's a small minority, but it has led to a lot of quackery. Not as much as happens in ufology, but it happens.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, I did miss. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Ufology needs a lot fixed about it. And look, Skyhub is not here. I just want to say it openly. Skyhub is not here to serve ufology. Sky is up here to serve data for anyone to use. And trust that the data was gathered in a way that will not be corrupted by humans being in the loop. So the system will collect the data automatically without a human. And so that data will be marked and stored. It's just great.
Excellent.
And there's a really important aspect to this. So if we're partnering with someone that's putting together a sightings database. Now we've made sure to keep a separation. There are different technical efforts by different people, but they're focusing on the experiencer and witness aspect. But they're going to take our data and correlate it with witness testimony and derive more meaningful things out of that data to see how a witness observes a UFO versus what the equipment saw. So there's lots of data that can be learned, or lots of things that can be learned out of that data. And I think that's really important.
Very important.
Yeah.
You guys. So long as the data is completely objective, untainted, stored in a verifiable and secure way, that's a great thing that can be done with it. And it helps everyone.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely.
You guys, okay, so you got your website. You guys are available on YouTube. What other platforms are you on? Twitter, Facebook, anything else?
Yep. So we have Twitter at Skyhub10, and we have Facebook. You can check us out at Skyhub. We also have a subreddit called Skyhub. We have a chat that it's Rocket Chat, and it's at chat.skyhub.org.
1 minute, boys.
Then we have And then we have our website at skyhub.org. So we're kind of spread out all over the place.
Steve, I got a question. I got a question for you from my buddy Rich at GoofOn. Okay, are media outlets going to be able? I know the videos are not for non-commercial use, but are media outlets going to be able to still play your videos if you catch something cool?
Yes, as long as they're not monetizing it. Then they're more than welcome to use it. So they'll be able to play content and share that content.
What if it's a national news outlet?
I am going to have to defer that to our lawyer. I will have to get that answered by him. I can't. Right. I don't know that off the top of my head.
Right. That might be something you guys want to think about, because there's some good media outlets both on the alternative and the mainstream side that may want to use this footage if it takes off the way it could. So you might want to be careful with that. Just an idea. All right, guys, here we go.
So
you're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight. Really do appreciate your time. We want to remind all of you that if you're listening in on one of our terrestrial affiliates across North America or digitally on TalkStream Live or Revolution Radio, we thank you for tuning us in. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. And what did the Clam put up here for tonight? Kobold. Kobold is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We are talking science tonight. Science Bob and Friends is a brand new feature that we have here on Spaced Out Radio, featuring Bob McGwier, former science faculty member of Virginia Tech University and currently of Auburn University. We have UFO historian William Pullen, and special guest tonight, we have Steve McDaniel from Skyhub.org, and we're talking UFOs, UFO tracking tonight. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for coming back.
Oh, it's great to be here. So let me go just a slightly different place. So the Skyhub is, of course, working itself to the bone, really, getting the tracker ready. But of course, there's large interest in what the outcome will be. And in fact, Skyhub is setting up relationships. And one of the relationships I want to discuss as much as you feel comfortable, Steve, is we want science to be done with this data. Each and every one of us that's a member and the team and so forth wants science to be done. So you and I and Chris and Corey and others are members of the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, which formed some time ago. And it's an interesting organization. People can go to it and look at explorescu.org, and there are talks on YouTube, there are papers on the website, and people can affiliate and eventually become full-fledged members by conducting a project that meets with the SCU's approval and processes and so forth, and move from affiliate members to full members. So explain to me your early vision of the interaction between Skyhub and SCU.
So really, the idea is that we can produce the data set to allow the scientists and researchers inside of SCU to take this data and do studies and write papers. I mean, really, we'd love a lot of white papers to come out of this. Even more interesting is more in-depth studies that they could do with this data. Really, it's about the long-term goal, Bob, is we want to get skeptics looking at this data and and convincing the skeptics that there's something truly anomalous going on. And that's what this is really about. I mean, our biggest critics are the people that we need to convince, right? And we're going to do that with data. And we're going to do that by putting out white papers and studies. So when you go to Michael Shermer or Neil deGrasse Tyson or Seth Shostak, and you confront them with real hard data backed, with studies and white papers, then they really can take a look at this and potentially one day take this topic seriously. And that's what we all want, right? We want mainstream scientific community taking this topic seriously.
You're absolutely right. And as you know, I'm being a little pedantic and rhetorical here, but never mind. You know as well as I know that Explore SCU is only as good as the data they have to work with. So it seems to me it's just a major deal that Skyhub has come along about the same time as Explore SCU, so that SCU is not doing just theoretical papers, but it's also doing, which they've done some really interesting ones, especially recently. If you look at their YouTube channel, there's some really interesting talks. But in order for them to take their ideas and the huge brain trust that's inside of SCU, and it really is large, covering a huge, wide range of subjects, capabilities, experiences, businesses, etc., and take this completely objective data, and for the first time be able to have a data set that actual projects can be about working with that data. I think it's a major boon to SCU, and I'm really, really happy to see this.
Oh, definitely. And the great thing about SCU is they have so many people with such great academic backgrounds and scientists and physicists. And it really gives Skyhub an opportunity to reach out to these experts in different fields and make even more progress with researching the UAP phenomenon. So it's really, really a great relationship that we have with SCU.
Okay, so I know that Dr. Chris Cogswell is the lead person on the scientific advisory board for Skyhub, and he was instrumental in setting up this relationship with SCU. Tell us the overall view of Skyhub about Chris's role and that of the scientific advisory board.
So as the project progressed, so I'm a software engineer, right? So I understand the scientific method. I love science. But what you really need is somebody that's involved. You really got to have somebody with their PhD that's involved in their career doing science. So you need someone with that reputation. You need someone in there that has connections across the industry that can kind of take that lead. So kind of what we did is Chris came in and agreed to be the chair of the scientific advisory board. And he kind of is setting up an advisory board and a group of scientists and like minds that can go and establish hypotheses and make sure that what we're doing on the software development side and on the sensor side matches up with what scientists and data researchers are going to expect in their data set, like tracking error rates, making sure we provide all the specifications on all the sensors that they will need in the data to do real research. So basically, he's keeping us honest, right? So he's making sure that we do our due diligence when we collect this data and when we publish the data. So he's kind of ensuring we follow a process that's expected in the scientific community. And that's not something that really we could do ourselves. We have to bring in, just like Bob is our RF expert. We need these experts to help build the project out the right way.
Yes, indeed. So look, every good scientist is at the same time a skeptic. So the early part of my technical career, I was an applied mathematician and I approved theorems. But what a lot of people don't understand is I just didn't write down papers and walk away, said, okay, I'm done. I had to convince rooms full of skeptics that what I had done was correct. That's what all good science is. It's answering the skeptics about your process and your data to their satisfaction, that it's something they can trust as being real. So it's good that Chris is there and organizing this. So one of the things that's really important to these scientists, Steve, is the number and content and quality and capability and specifications of these sensors, which you've already mentioned. And there's kind of been just like with computers, there has been a major technological boom where the capabilities have increased like right through the roof and the cost has fallen through the floor. So why don't you talk specifically about some of the sensors that's being looked at now and how inexpensive and how capable they appear to be without completely adequate testing maybe, but look really good. Talk to us some about that.
So I can talk a little bit about that. So I don't know if you guys are aware of the Raspberry Pi platform. So years ago, companies started putting out little computer boards that basically let you tinker and make little projects. Well, they got really popular and they got better and better and better. So you could hook up temperature sensors and motion sensors and things like that. Well, as things got more mature and they got more popular and they became a large market for it, they started to standardize these platforms. And one of these platforms is called Grove. So Grove is a standardized platform that provides basically a circuit board that has little plugs. You can just plug sensors in. There's no soldering. There's no wiring. You simply just plug a sensor into a port and you can start using that sensor. So the Grove board has 14 ports on it, so you can hook up 14 sensors on a default configuration, which is a lot of sensors. But even better, they have 8-channel multiplexers that you can take one of those ports and plug 8 more sensors into that port. So really, you could put 40 or 50 sensors on this Grove platform and deploy it in the Skyhub sensor array and collect all this great data. Now, some of the things that we're using, we've got GPS. We have a GPS sensor that attaches to the platform, and a variety of atmospheric sensors, UV sensors, and light sensors. One that we just started researching and actually ordered some sensors is lightning detectors. So we'll be able to detect lightning strikes with the platform, which is going to be a great data point. So yeah, there's all these great things that we can just plug into this very simple platform. And one of the reasons that we chose it is we think this is probably one of the easiest platforms for a massive audience to be able to assemble themselves due to the simplicity of just plugging sensors into a board.
And look, it's always cost is really important. So when people hear, I got to have a GPS receiver that plugs into this thing and it's going to provide location and timing and all these other things, they're thinking a number. The number's wrong because it's really inexpensive, isn't it?
Oh, it's very inexpensive. And just to give you an idea, the GPS module for this platform is less than $12. And you're talking about some of the sensors are less than $3. So we're going to be able to put together a very large sensor array at a very, very competitive price.
It's really amazing. So the fanciest sensor that I have seen was on the order of $50, and I mean it was really, really fancy. So there's you say lightning detector, and of course my mind immediately goes to what lightning is. So it's really an electromagnetic pulse detector. So it could be lightning, but it could be any kind of EMP.
Exactly. So these types of sensors are great. So these sensors might be intended for a certain thing. So like some people might laugh. People say, why do you have an inertial measurement unit inside of a box that's stationary? Well, because that inertial measurement unit has lots of capabilities for detecting things and not just movement. So we can take those sensor readings and record that data, and it may pick up something unexpected. And that's really what we're looking for, right? These very sensitive sensors, basically listening to everything. And that's what we want.
William?
Agreed. Actually, I have a question for you guys. So, people who know me in the UFO community are probably tired of my skeptical voice pushing for science, but from two highly credentialed gentlemen who have not been in this field for a long time, what do you think, in your humble opinion, why is science essential to examining this problem, UFOs?
Honestly, and I might not have the most popular opinion, I think most evidence in the UFO community is really terrible. And I'm accused of being overly critical at times, but I do think people have really got wrapped up in a desire to believe, and a lot of people are believing in things without adequate evidence. So I think it's difficult. There's been a lot of mythology wrapped into UFOs that I think almost makes the topic unattainable for a credible scientist to get into. And I think it's very difficult. And I think it takes a lot of courage to be like someone like Bob, someone with a very strong academic background and professional career, to dive into ufology. It takes a lot of courage because it's very difficult to get into because there's a lot of fringe and pseudoscience beliefs involved in what we're doing.
Agreed.
It absolutely is. But look, and not only that, but look, your skepticism and my skepticism and William's skepticism is not saying that none of this is real. But what it is saying is people need to be able to grab on to some data that we know is unexplained and care about that. If it's unexplained, there's something we can learn. So let me just go back to the IMU. Everybody listening to this has heard of the USS Nimitz and the USS Roosevelt and seen those videos on TV and TTSA and all of this. So the thing that TTSA and others claim are being exhibited by the Tic Tac and the Go Fast and the Gimbal are things that are exhibiting anomalous behavior as if they have some kind of mechanism for producing an anti-gravity field, because they can sit stationary or take off and go fast, and they don't have any observable exhaust from or rotor wash or anything like that. So the hypothesis is that anti-gravity stuff is being done. So the gravitational field is being manipulated. An inertial management unit has the sensors that maybe, we are not sure, maybe will be able to observe the gravitational anomalies that are claimed to be behind these things. So there's a good reason for an IMU. Even though it's sitting stationary, it will look as if it is being accelerated by something that's manipulating the gravitational field. So let's hope we find some of that so we can all celebrate. Steve, going to include a Geiger counter or a spectrogram or those kinds of things?
So those are things that we'd love to do. So we've talked about doing a Geiger counter. We've talked about doing geophones. And those are things that we hope to add to the platform over time. We really have to get more people involved and find cost-effective ways to implement this functionality. So it's really to all the listeners out there that are scientists or enthusiasts or just DIY guys, or girls, jump into the project and help us get these other sophisticated sensors in the platform. With more people involved, we can really add more and more to the platform because we'd love to have all those things.
That's a really great point. And the nice thing about this board you're mentioning, the Grove, is these boards have a standard interface. So it might be possible for some listener out there with serious expertise to come along and say, if one or two people will work with me, I and others around me can produce a sensor that'll plug into the Grove board and add a lot of capability. And Steve, I'm sure you're happy to tell people those people will be welcome.
Oh, most definitely. If you're an expert or even an enthusiast, or you just want to help write documentation, or you want to do science or software programming or graphics design, there's a spot for you here at Skyhub. Just jump on in and be a part of the community.
Let's let Dave give us some questions from the listening audience. So, Dave, you have any?
Well, right now, the people are all pretty much intense on listening in what's going on. But I have a couple questions for you, Steve, in regards to the whole UFO aspect, in regards to everything. I know you're looking for anomalous objects, but are we going to be able to tell what these objects are with Skyhub?
So it really depends, right? So if we're talking about like video cameras, if something gets close enough, so some of the cameras you're using are really, really good. Sometimes we may be able to identify objects crystal clear, right? And kind of a note on that, a lot of the videos we see on YouTube are recorded with cell phone cameras. They're shaky. The sensor on a cell phone camera is relatively small. It's not really tuned for low light situations. But the cameras we're using are stationary, much, much higher quality, and they work much, much better in low light situations like at night. So there may be cases where we actually get UFOs in crystal clear video. So I would love for that to happen. So we should get much higher fidelity data in this platform.
Okay, so the second question that I have is regarding this, and of course it sticks with the field of ufology. You guys have kind of, you're using the field of ufology for the scientific study of whatever these anomalous aircraft are. But there's also a giant field out there that includes a lot of researchers. Will you be combining your efforts with many of these current researchers, or is this something, because you're focused so much on the science portion of it, that it really is its own variation of study?
I think it's really its own thing. So one thing that's been really important at Skyhub is to ensure that we maintain a very narrow focus and be driven towards a very specific goal. And that's why we've really tried to maintain just building purely an observational platform. And that's really all we want to do. I think if the scope gets too big, it's harder to accomplish your goal, and it muddies the waters, right? So we really want to produce something to share with everybody. And that includes enthusiasts, that includes scientists, and basically all of humanity, right? That's who we're sharing this with. We're sharing it with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Dave, if I interrupted, I apologize for interjecting, but
yeah, we got 1 minute. We got 1 minute.
UFO researchers should embrace this data, whether they're enamored with science or not. If a researcher is not examining data which is collected objectively using instruments, and it can't be misidentified because it's not from human hands. It's the instruments collecting this data. If they're not examining that data, they're not doing their job. They can't ignore this data. They're not doing their job. If a researcher ignores this data, they're not doing their job. Period.
Very true. Very true. Gentlemen, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to get ready to step out for a break here at the bottom of the hour. Brand new feature here on Spaced Out Radio, Science Bob and Friends, led by Bob McGwier, scientist extraordinaire of Spaced Out Radio, and of course, formerly of Virginia Tech University and currently of Auburn University. We have UFO historian William Pullen, his sidekick, and his brilliancy as is, and our special guest tonight from skyhub.org and the Skyhub UFO Tracker, we have Steve McDaniel. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio coming up. Good stuff, boys.
Very cool.
Good stuff. Yep.
I think we're doing pretty good.
Yep. And Bob, you made a comment earlier about 10 minutes ago about, I think you said something about, William and I are not saying this is not real, or something to that effect. Basically, it's explaining the skeptical approach, and that's exactly right. We're not saying there's nothing anomalous going on. All we're saying is that it makes sense to examine it using this tool also. We're not saying they're all alien spacecraft. What we are saying is that there are a lot of them that are mundane, can be explained by normal, phenomenon, but there's enough anomalous activity going on. It demands an examination using this kind of platform. That's all we're saying.
And I totally agree. I think you're completely right. And if we didn't think there was something to this, we probably wouldn't be involved, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
So I think there's enough credible evidence to warrant rigorous scientific investigation, and that's what this is all about.
Well stated. Yeah. There's enough. Even though the majority of the evidence in the UFO literature is, like you said, I agree. It's kind of very shaky, to be kind, incomplete. There's a lot of holes, but there's enough snippets of quality data out there, even though it's few and far between, that suggests something potentially non-terrestrial, at least anomalous, which demands an examination, regardless of whether that pans out or not. When there's a problem that needs to be examined, that's what science is for, to examine it and find out what's going on. So I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I have seen anomalies, and I have absolutely no idea what they were. Totally unknown to me, and that is useless, other than as a story. But I'm tired of stories. I have seen things that I want to find an explanation for, that a scientist can take data and find out something about it, and at least make a usable hypothesis, which is falsifiable based on what we have observed objectively.
Yep, I agree. Yep. We want to find that. We want to find out what's going on or not going on. I mean, there's enough data out there that suggests something anomalous going on. Nobody knows. Nobody has any definitive answers. How do we arrive at answers? How do we answer questions? By examining problems, by exploring, by learning, by gathering data, by using our minds in critical ways to think, use our brains that we've evolved with, and solve problems. We don't solve problems by beliefs or statements that aren't supported by data. We don't do that. We prove things, either valid or not, and go from there. That's how it works. Like Bob, you're right. We have stories. We have a lot of stories, and some of those stories describe truly anomalous events, but it still demands objective scrutiny. It still demands scientific investigation. Period. Yep.
I just wanted to say yep too.
Yep.
We got 2 minutes.
I mean, Dave, you're a UFO witness, and from your point of view, you experience something anomalous. You have those events that are very personal in your way, and from your point of view. How could it possibly be a negative thing if science confirms your point of view?
Oh, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But I guess what I'm saying is, and this is something Bob and I have talked about, and a couple other people and I have talked about. There is such a different type of thinking. Like I'm sitting back here just listening because this is so above my pay grade. It's unbelievable. It really is. Okay. Thank you, Tony, for the compliment on my hair from Corpus Christi, Texas. Appreciate that. Home of Brian Leach, Hockey Hall of Famer Brian Leach, born in Corpus Christi, Texas, I believe in 1968. How is that for memory? Former first rounder of the New York Rangers. I believe 9th overall, 1988. Anyways, it's my hockey stuff there. Anyways, let me see here. But anyways, it's difficult for me to try and figure out all of this because I don't understand. I don't understand the scientifics, and I don't understand the importance of it to me, I don't want to say it's irrelevant, because I think it's completely relevant of what is going on. But you know what excites me about Skyhub, and like I've talked to Steve and Bob about this in the past, is if I got aliens, man, this shit's going to clear that up. You know what I'm saying? It's going to eliminate a lot of that wonderment that a lot of people like myself have. One sec, guys, we're just about to come back. Maybe that's actually, Bob, do you mind if we go down that angle for a minute?
I don't mind at all.
All right, here we come back, guys.
This half hour, we're going to do a little bit of different, so might as well start there.
Welcome back as we pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for tuning us in wherever you are on this great planet we call Earth. Hey, I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. On Instagram, you can follow us at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. We bring in Science Bob and Friends tonight, our new feature on this show, where Bob McGwier, scientist from Auburn University, formerly of Virginia Tech, comes in with William Pullen and a special guest tonight. It is Steve McDaniel from Skyhub. Skyhub.org is the website, is a UAP UFO tracking device that they are building, which is actually really kind of cool. Bob, guys, welcome back.
Great to be here, Dave.
Thank you.
All right.
Dave, ask your question.
I can ask that. Steve, for a lot of people out there who have had experiences, okay, the scientific portion of everything isn't very important. They want to know the answers as to why this is happening to them. And I realize that is not something that Skyhub is focused on. But one of the things that it can help with in regards to that I see is pretty much, I'm an experiencer, okay? I've had weird things happen. Can I prove it? No. But if I got one of these, I'm assuming I could look at that data at any time. And let's say I felt I got taken one night. The aliens came and got me. All right. Mm-hmm. And I can confirm that, hopefully, by using this, because if it's set up outside my house, I should be able to see that craft, correct? Or something anomalous happening over my house.
Yeah, that's really the goal. In the variety of sensors that we're deploying, we're hoping to detect something anomalous.
The power answer.
I do want to answer one of your earlier comments. So you mentioned that Skyhub doesn't really help with the experiencer, and this experiencer already believes in the science isn't that interesting. Well, we might be able to help indirectly, right? So if we're able to achieve our goal and produce a data set that gets scientists and experts involved, those people that get involved and take this research seriously may one day answer some of those other questions that experiencers are interested in. So Skyhub might not do it directly, but we hope to lay the foundation to get others involved that may be able to answer those questions one day.
Right on. Bob?
Okay. Steve, you and I have known each other for a while, but so I know some things that maybe some members of the audience don't know that would be of interest to them. Recently, the United States Senate Select Committee on Intelligence added a major portion to the National Defense Authorization Act, in which the United States government and the military are ordered to, after 180 days, produce a public report on UFOs as witnessed and experienced by the government. A lot of our audience will not know that you broke that story. Can you talk to us about that, Steve?
Yeah, it was actually kind of a fluke. It happened by accident. So I happened to to be on govinfo.org, and I was searching for documents on there, which I rarely ever do. So the fact that I actually discovered this document is a bit surprising. So I was looking on there, and I was wondering if anybody talked about UFO in Congress, because Congress publishes their bills and their policies on that in that portal, and nothing came up for UFO. And I did a search for UAP, and nothing came up. And I type in unidentified aerial phenomenon, and a document had been published 4 days earlier from the Senate Select Intelligence Committee, and essentially I posted the document in Skyhub's community chat, and I read the document, and I was wondering why no one was talking about it. So about 10 hours after I found it, I ended up posting it on Twitter, and from there everything just kind of exploded, and some really great articles came out from, McMillan and Benias, and Bender put out a really great coverage of the story, and Adam Kehoe put out some really good analytical write-ups about the draft. And that's kind of how it went down. But the actual substance of that draft report is very interesting, because it really shows that some of the efforts that TTSA and Chris Mellon have been working towards are starting to pay off, and they are making movements in the political arena and pushing this forward, and politicians are starting to take this more seriously. So it's, in my mind, it's really strange to see that in writing, and it's somewhat surprising to see them go down this road and make this part of the law.
It's pretty amazing. So that is now, in fact, reported through the Senate as part of the National Defense Authorization Act. So the Defense Appropriation and Mandatory Actions Bill that goes through Congress now contains the UFO language. It's just remarkable. And Senator Rubio is the author, and he is the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence head. He's a Republican, and the Republican has the Senate majority, so he is the chairman of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. And Mark Warner of Virginia is the ranking member, so he's the Democrat on the committee. But my own personal experience, I'm unaware of what experience you might have with the SSCI, Steve, but my own personal experience is things that make it through that committee are completely bipartisan, and it has a big majority of that committee reported that language out. That is just a remarkable thing, Steve. Did you ever think you'd see it?
I really didn't. And when I saw that document, I was a bit dumbfounded. And the other interesting thing about the document is that they're producing a unclassified version with a classified annex, which usually it's the reverse. Usually documents like that get published in a classified form and an optional unclassified annex. So it's kind of interesting to see them producing a work product that they want to default to an unclassified report. So that's something that you kind of see out of DARPA. If DARPA is doing research that they'd like to see filtered down to the private sector, they want your work product to be unclassified. And if necessary, you can have a classified annex for anything that's sensitive or classified. But the goal of those DARPA programs is to feed that research back into the private sector, to hope that someone actually productizes something and it benefits the industry. So to see that kind of language in the Senate Intelligence Committee bill was very interesting, and it seems that someone has the intention for this data to flow into the private sector and out to the public. So I'm curious to what the long-term goal with that is.
So one more thing before we let others question you about this, because this is really interesting. So people may not know, so I'm going to help them know. Christopher Mellon, who is now an advisor to the Stars Academy, and people can see him on Unidentified with Lou Elizondo every week on the History Channel, was a Senate staffer for the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. And I hope people understand that once you've been a member of that kind of team, you always have an in with that kind of team. And people in that Senate Select Committee on Intelligence will know who Mellon is. He has an in. Without Mellon and Elizondo's influence, that would not be part of the National Defense Authorization Act. And Mellon left that committee's work, and under Obama was appointed Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence. So it's pretty amazing thing that Chris Mellon, with others, have been able to push this through. And Steve, I noticed that Christopher Mellon is following Skyhub.
That's right. He seems to have taken an interest in our efforts at Skyhub, which he should, just along with everyone else. But yeah, it's really great to have someone like Chris Mellon be following and tracking our efforts and being interested in basically what we're doing. I mean, there's other great projects out there too. MADAR. MADAR made a really great sensor to detect anomalies, and they took a similar approach where they wanted a network of sensors. And, you know, as we progress, we'd love to work with MADAR and work with other projects like that, get even more interest.
Yep, we have a MADAR person who is in the project and has done some really neat work on taking other people's transmitters that are putting out high-powered signals and looking at the reflections of those high-powered signals off of aerial phenomenon and receiving it in their sensor arrays, and thus getting a radar where they don't have to have a megawatt transmitter. So one of the MADAR guys is working with us, and that is really going to be interesting going forward. And I know it won't be overnight, but that is a kind of thing that would just be awesome if everyone who had one of our sensors had ultimately had the capability, if they were near a strong transmitter, of tracking an object.
Oh, definitely. And the work that the individual's name is Paul, he runs the MADAR node in France. What he's really done is very impressive. I recommend jumping into the chat or looking him up on Facebook and checking out all the great, how like he's got a command center for UFO tracking at his house. I mean, it's very impressive. So come check out the chat. We'll shoot you over the links and you can see his setup and all the great things he's assembled to do UAP research. It's really impressive to see someone do this on their own time.
Right.
Okay, so William, jump in on this. Did you ever think, William, you would see the NDAA have UFO language?
No. I really didn't. I'm always cautious. I always throw caution in the winds. I want to see what transpires with time, but no, they really did. I mean, the government has never really taken this issue seriously in a straightforward way. There were congressional hearings on this in the late '60s, which Gerald Ford pushed for. There's been discussion about UFO sightings by Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan, John Podesta. Obama's former chief of staff pushed for some level of disclosure. The late Barry Goldwater consistently pushed for openness concerning the UFO topic in a very straightforward manner, very straightforward. I think more straightforward than any other politician. But beyond those exceptions, it really hasn't been discussed in the halls of Congress, in the halls of the Senate. Not really, not at all. So is this a definitive change? It might be. It's certainly very interesting. I mean, the narrative has changed since, the past 3 or 4 years. The UFO topic has been discussed a little more openly, a little more legitimately, and it's being covered better by the media, which doesn't say much because the media was pretty bad at it anyway. But it's being taken a little more seriously. And now the government is, at least somewhat, they're discussing the issue. So could that be a snowball effect toward this topic being treated legitimately and seriously overall? It's a possibility, but I never thought it would be discussed. No, to be brutally honest, no. I never thought we'd cross that bridge. Yeah. Might be just the first step. So
that's hopefully one of many. It's Dave?
Yes. We have a question from Elaine coming in, if you guys don't mind. And she is asking, Steve, how far will the node in the Skyhub tracker will you be able to see?
So that's going to depend on a lot of factors. Number one, it's going to depend on what type of camera that you have. It's going to depend on any obstructions that you have around your camera. So I'm going to give an example of a $300 fisheye camera that has a 180-degree field of view. So on a clear day, if it's in a high enough elevation, so, or in elevation, I guess doesn't matter so much, but as long as there's no obstructions, on our cameras, we can see in 20 miles every direction. So we can see a very long ways. So it really is going to depend on the optics of the camera. That's a big factor. But if you get a decent camera, expect to see, 20 miles.
That's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. Getting back to what, and I have one question personally here for all three of you, if you don't mind. I'd love, as we got about 8 minutes to go before we go to break at the top of the hour here on Spaced Out Radio, Science Bob and Friends. All right, gentlemen, one of the things that has concerned me about the UFO field from not only a scientific level, but from an experiential level as well, comes with the topic of disclosure. Okay. And this may be a little case sensitive, and if you don't feel comfortable answering it, please don't. But I'm going to ask it anyways. All right. For years, we have been told in this field that people of the government background have never had truly the public's best interest at heart when it comes to UFOs. And William, you and I have discussed this as well. Okay. And yet, when we look at the field of ufology today, who are we all chasing? We're chasing Chris Mellon, former DIA assistant director. We're chasing Lou Elizondo, probably the only outed man in black. Okay, if we can use that term. We look at other people in this field who have come out. And we're supposed to trust all of a sudden all of the government and the government agencies that all of a sudden they have, after 70 years of covering up this phenomena, have the best interests in the public at heart when it comes to this subject. Do you see where the UFO community is kind of, I don't want to say laughing, but kind of rolling their eyes at this entire phenomena right now because we're not supposed to trust these people, yet these people are waving signs saying, trust us. We're doing this for you. How do you all feel about that?
So I can jump in real quick. So disclosure is such a tough thing. I'm actually not even sure what it really means. I'm not even convinced there's really much to even disclose. So a lot of people want disclosure, but what if we just pretend for a second the government doesn't actually know what's going on either, but perhaps they have an indication, more data to prove that maybe something's going on, but I'm not convinced at all they have a handle on whatever's happening. I don't think they really know themselves. So it's really hard to disclose something that you don't understand, and I almost wonder if that's the position that we're in.
Bob?
Might you want to go, Bob, or?
Go, William.
I agree that the government, I think, because the government has facilities and equipment and the military at their disposal to watch the skies in the effort to keep us safe from the former Soviet Union, other adversarial nations. What does that mean? That also means in a roundabout way, they're observing the skies better than we can as civilians. So that makes me believe, and I might be totally wrong, I just don't know, which is that's a horrible statement to make in the UFO field, but I don't know. I think the government/military has a larger cache of data available. They may have a larger amount of physical evidence that we've gathered, but I don't think they really know what's going on. I think they know something's going on. But I think if there is a cover-up, and I don't know if it's a direct cover-up, but there's been at least been an effort by the government to lessen the importance of UFO sightings. Certainly during the Cold War, that was a strong effort. There was a push in that direction. But I think the government has more data, but I don't think they really know what's going on. My friend Don Schmidt always says it's a cover-up of ignorance. I think they know something's going on. They just know what's going on. They just have more data on it than we do as civilians. Beyond that, I agree with Steve. I don't know what disclosure would actually mean. That disclosure is very, as it pertains to the UFO topic, disclosure is a very gray term. There's no definitive explanation for it. There's no definition. It depends on the person you ask. For me, disclosure would be an open disclosure of all the data the government has collected for 80 years, from my point of view. Well, my point of view is from a researcher who's never seen a UFO. For someone else, whether experienced or not, their definition may be different. So it's a very gray area, but I think it's just a cover up of ignorance. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think it'll ever happen, though. I think it's not politically advantageous for them to release whatever they have, because on some level they have to explain why they have been hiding it all this time from us, the taxpayers. I just don't think the government doesn't do anything unless there's some advantage to be gained from it, generally. And I think disclosure would open up a Pandora's box, and there would be too many questions to answer for it. But this is my point of view. So, Bob, it's your turn, man.
All right. So look, let's suppose Roswell's real. Roswell happened. Let's suppose it. Jesse Marcel and all others, they really did see what we all have been told was happened there. And the government came in and bullied, threatened, cajoled, destroyed lives, etc., of people around Roswell to keep them quiet. There would be a never-ending stream of criminal charges, civil action, and so forth that would accrue to the government on behalf of the people who were treated badly if they came out and admitted Roswell was real, without congressional action indemnifying itself from these kinds of things. So that kind of disclosure is just not going to happen, in my opinion. Okay, that's first. So recently, we got this big admission by the government that the Nimitz videos and the Theodore Roosevelt videos of Gimbal, Go Fast, and Tic Tac were real videos, and they've been determined that they don't reveal sources and methods that would damage the United States, so they were released and they're unclassified. Along with that came a statement, and the statement said, we are unable to determine what these are, therefore they are unknown. I'm paraphrasing to get through this quickly. That got passed all over the United States government. It went everywhere. And for them to release a statement like that, finally changing the mishmash mess that Susan Goff at for the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff and her public relations work had made until that time, that's a major admission. And I really think all the people involved likely believe they don't have a clue. So that's at least a credible hypothesis that stuff happens, they see stuff, they have unbelievable sensors, and they can't figure it out and don't know what it is. So the last thing I'll say before we have to go to break is, and this is not me bragging, it's giving you an example. I started a company called Hawkeye 360, and Hawkeye 360 puts up spacecraft that looks for radio transmissions on the Earth. There are all sorts of reasons you might want to locate an RF transmitter on the Earth. The government has spy satellites that look down things for transmitting on the Earth. But the facts are that the government can serve only a tiny percentage of the government requests to look for things.
Right, Bob.
And so it's just not possible they know everything.
All right. We'll leave it right there. We got Science Bob, William Pullen, the UFO historian, and from Skyhub, Sweet Stevie, here for another 30 minutes on Spaced Out Radio in Hour 3. Then we got the Newswire and the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned. Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio is coming up next. Sorry, Bobby, I had to cut you off there.
No, you're good. You're good.
All right, guys.
I'm looking at the clock, but I think I'm 30 seconds off.
All right, you guys can chat away. I'm just going to run my dogs out. I'll be right back.
All right.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna smoke a cigarette real quick.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
All right. Yep.
Yeah. I was thinking the second part of Dave's question was, or I guess it was the first part, about should we trust the government because they may not have had our best interest at heart? And to my mind, I think that's a non-issue. I think the bigger issue is that when we get information about UFOs, regardless of the source, we should be cautious when we embrace it. We should examine it objectively and slowly examine what is the information. Is this valid? Is it not valid? What's the source? Why is it coming out now? Questions that should be asked instead of just blindly embracing information. And then the UFO community is painfully bad at vetting information. And so it's a larger problem. And whether that's specific to the UFO community or is it a symptom of society in general, because people are not good at processing information. They see a link on Facebook and they accept it as valid, and it may not be. It may be fake. That's why fake news is so effective. People don't bother to check if the information is real or not.
So I want to add one more perspective.
Yeah.
Every one of us knows the government has used UFOs to cover up other activities. Stealth airplane development, spy plane development, drone development, all of those things. They laughed their rear ends off when people called and said it was a UFO, because they got people to laugh at them. So when people were observing actual airplanes, drones, et cetera, that being developed by the U.S. government, it was laughed off because they called it a UFO. We know this has happened.
It made it easier for them to cover and hide advanced technology from the civilian population. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
There's not only one answer, is my point. There's just not.
No, that's a vitally important part of this problem, is that at least when it comes to UFOs, I've always held the belief that, I hate to use the word belief, my position, belief sounds biased to me. My objective position is that there's no one solution to the UFO issue. It may be some conglomeration of theories. It may be we don't even know what questions to ask at this point, because we haven't really examined this issue with quality science. We don't know what questions to ask. We're asking certain questions: or where are they from? Why are they here? These kind of questions. Those are very vague questions. Specific inquiries, we don't know what to ask, and so there's a ton of potential answers. We just don't know at this point. So, but you're right. We can't have closed-minded, biased thinking. We can't. We need to be objective and cautious, and just examine things as they come and see where the data takes us. That's more productive.
Yeah. And why is just why is there this assumption there's only one phenomenon? It just makes no sense that there's only one phenomenon. It can't just be an ET spacecraft. It's not just one phenomenon. We don't know what it is. We need data.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, the data we have, which is woefully inadequate, suggests that no one theory explains the whole thing. So, we need more data. Period. Now, there's no way around that. We need a ton of data.
Well, the exponential explosion in capabilities, complexity, and et cetera in technology, accompanied with the massive fall in price, has arrived to produce Skyhub.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. The opportunity to get some good work done, some positive, objective work, which can be examined by everybody. You just can't pass that up. We've never had that before. Never in 80 years. And it's always been UFO research has always been very haphazard. It has not really used science at all. It's been very you go out to the field, investigate a sighting, or vet someone's testimony, and it's been along those lines. A real legitimate, hardwired scientific examination of this problem has never happened. Never happened. So this is the first time. This is new territory, and who knows where it might lead? It's never happened before, so fascinating, good stuff.
Oh yeah,
I'll clap for you.
So I mean, Dave, you and I, we come from different sides of the fence, but we meet halfway. I mean, imagine how many experiencers don't know what's going on in their events.
Yeah,
this data may give them answers they deserve. That's a good thing.
Well, it's just like Elaine Elaine in our chat room tonight has been very vocal about a lot of the things that have been happening on her property. She's got acreage. I'm not sure where, but she's got trail cams set all over, and it's capturing major phenomena, according to her, which is exactly where something like this would benefit, because it gives her another eye to the sky, right? And we got
other types of data than video or pictures.
Yeah, we got 20 seconds,
yes.
Boys. 20 seconds.
Yep. It's only a good thing.
I think so.
Yep.
I think so. All right.
Your spaced out radio swag at the SOR vault today.
Come back.
I know so.
We got 133 people watching right now.
That's cool.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to
There'll be a huge number listening on the radio, all over your radio network. It's great.
SOR.
Yep.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune us in. We are back and loving everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across the continent and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Kobold. Kobold is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. For the final time tonight, we introduce Science Bob and Friends, a new feature that we have here monthly, where Science Bob McGwier, formerly of Virginia Tech, currently of Auburn University, comes in to discuss the science around the paranormal. His sidekick, William Pullen, the UFO historian, special guest tonight from Skyhub and skyhub.org. We have Steve McDaniel joining us. Gentlemen, we're going to start off with a quick question right out of the audience. Elaine is asking, when will these cameras be available to the public?
So they are currently available. We are currently testing a release that we're going to push out to the general public. So we're hoping within the next couple weeks, we will have a stable version that's ready to go. But you know what? If you're interested now, join in on the project. We'll help you get set up, and we'll get you rolling even before the final release comes out. But we will have that final release out this month, so everybody can partake in the Skyhub network.
There you go. Science Bob.
That's fabulous. Okay, well, let's go slightly different. I'm going to put Steve a little bit on the spot, and because he's done some great work that's not part of Skyhub, but it is relevant. So, Steve, before I knew you in Skyhub and working on the sensor system, you had done an amazing piece of work indexing and storing all sorts of interesting data in the UFO field. And I know that's not a major focus for you now, but please tell us a little bit about that work.
Absolutely. So this is actually what got me in the UFO community. I wanted to write a piece of software in Go. I was somewhat new to Golang. It's a programming language that I was interested in learning. So the best way to learn it is to write it. So I decided to do a small project, and I figured I would process PDF documents and index them in a database. So the idea was I'd take a PDF document, I'd run it through an OCR algorithm, which just extracts the text from a PDF document. So it's pretty boring stuff. But what I decided to do, I needed a data set to process. So I went and grabbed all the UFO documents released by every major government and through FOIA, and I aggregated all of this data together from the FBI and the CIA, Brazil, the US, Canada, all over the place. And I grabbed everything from AFU and a lot of stuff that Isaac Coy has aggregated over the years. And I ran it through an OCR algorithm and produced a massive searchable database of about 1 million pages of PDF documents, all on UFOs. So I made it possible you could go to a website and type in any phrase and search and get a list of all the documents that talked about what you're searching for. And on top of that, I went and did a bunch of text analytics on all the PDF documents. So I did collocation algorithms, I did n-gram analysis, I did entity extraction. So if someone mentioned UFO or San Francisco or Brazil, you could say, I want every document that talks about Brazil or San Francisco. So yeah, you could find similarities in documents. If people describe the same UFO, you could find all the documents with similar descriptions. And just a little note on that, it's called Flux UFO. It's currently not operational because when I got into Skyhub, it capitalized all of my time. And I spend very little time on Flux UFO, but I do have all the source code for Flux that does all the searching and indexing that I will be releasing publicly for free and share the source code with anyone that wants to take it and work on it. And the goal is to eventually get that data set back up and available to the public. And that is another one of my free projects that I made for everybody to use.
That is why I asked the question. This is such a potentially huge, valuable resource, especially if it's other sources of input that are not necessarily text produced by OCR and PDFs, but anything of that could be put into the database. It would be fantastic. And my recollection is, and I'm glad to hear that you're going to make that available and help others, help all sorts of people that not necessarily in Skyhub are interested in cameras and sensors, but might be interested in doing research, historical or otherwise, on all these documents. And didn't you also use natural language processing capabilities to transcribe podcasts?
Yes, so I'm a bit of a data junkie. So years ago, I don't know if anybody has heard of a tool called Fluid Data. It was actually a tool that was all about podcasts. So what I would do is I wrote a web crawler that crawled the internet looking for podcasts, and I wrote an ASR that automatically transcribed all podcasts published every single day. So during the life of that project, I actually transcribed about 15 million podcast episodes. And if you add all that together, it's over 1,000 years of continuous spoken audio that we transcribed. And I'd bet money that Spaced Out Radio episodes are in that archive with full searchable transcripts. And it was quite an endeavor. I have a 1 petabyte data storage array sitting in my basement that was used to store all the data and content for that endeavor. So yes, amazing. That was all done with machine learning and automated speech recognition.
And of course, lots of work has been done since then, improving on natural language processing, optical character reading, and as we've been talking about with Skyhub, the available hardware to do the kind of inference, the taking of what's there and saying what it is, classifying, etc. is just tremendously grown. And Steve, I want to just everyone to understand how impressive that body of work is. I'm sure that Dave knows, William knows, and I certainly know. That is an incredible body of work. I hope that listeners to this show will decide that they would love to take some of that and do something really good with it for the entire community and humanity.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
William?
Agreed. I keep going back to the UFO witness angle because I think that's important. That people, because all we have is testimony. It's all stories. We have anecdotal testimony. That's the majority of what we have, the data we have at this point, before you guys arrived. And so, because we need to take that cautiously, we know that people are reporting anomalous events. There's troubling, traumatic, emotional experiences in their lives. For that reason alone, we want to have more data so that people can wrap their heads around what's going on. They want some answers. Not all experiencers know. A lot of them have a lot of questions. I speak to a lot of experiencers here in San Antonio, South Texas, and it's got to be 70, 80% of them don't know what they experienced. They deserve to know. If we eliminate the paranormal aspect, it's just an event. If an individual experiences an event that is emotional, traumatic, and troubling to them on many levels, they deserve some peace of mind. They deserve some answers, regardless of whether it's paranormal or not. An effort like this may assist them. For those experiencers out there that don't know if this application of science specific to the UFO problem, whether they think it's important or not, a lot of your fellow experiencers don't know any answers. They want answers. They deserve to have their minds put at rest to see what's actually going on. This effort may give them those answers. That's why it's important. There's other reasons why it's vitally important, in my humble opinion. But from an experiencer standpoint, I would think a lot of experiencers want more answers than what they have now. And this endeavor, using science to take a look at things, may give them the answers they want. And that's important to them. And I think that's important to the field. We need to move the field forward in a positive direction. We've been, in a very general way, we've been spinning our wheels for about 80 years. We really don't know any definitive answers. We have some ideas, some theories, which have not borne out. And they've not been proven possible at all. They just haven't really been examined. So we have ideas, but we really don't know anything. Any definitive answers? We don't. Raw data may give you those answers. When you apply science to any problem, when you're able to gather quality data, you're at least able to eliminate possibilities, at the very least. It narrows down the possibilities as to what may be the ultimate explanation. So the gathering of data is a positive thing. So if there's the idea that a scientific endeavor like this has no place in ufology, I find very troubling and actually a little laughable. I mean, we need all the data we can get. We can't ignore any possible tool. We need to move it forward, and this endeavor is one of those important steps. So that may be a strong statement, but it's true. We need to move the field forward for experiencers and non-experiencers. This is a good thing.
And I'd love to see Skyhub trackers deployed at experiencers' homes and non-experiencers' homes, because we need a control for the data set. But we want to see these deployed all over the country, all over the globe, so we can actually start collecting this data that we desperately need.
Dave, you are an experiencer, so give us your perspective.
Oh, goodness. If it leads to any answers, and my audience has heard me say this many a times, okay? Many a times. If you've never seen a UFO, it's never aliens. And if you've seen a UFO or an extraterrestrial, it's always aliens. There is no in between anymore, because everything you see in the sky, once you have one of those anomalous happenings happen to you, you change your direction and everything, because it is always the feeling that it's coming again. And I think for a lot of people out there with this project, it could give some serious answers. I mean, could you imagine what it would be like putting a one of these up at, say, somebody like Chris Bledsoe or Samantha Mowett's house, and all of a sudden you get beams of light being projected from just above the house, or there's an actual craft hovering 25, 30 feet over a house, or maybe you even catch the video of somebody leaving their home in an abduction scenario. I mean, that is the ultimate proof. And that's the possibility that we're playing in right now that I see with this. I think you guys are looking to the stars. I'm thinking, what's 50 feet above my house when things happen? That's what excites me about it. That's where I kind of look at it and think, there is something very exciting for people like me regarding this project, because we can listen to all of the groups. We can listen to all of the researchers. You know, we hear the tales. So, well, make your report to Newfork or MUFON or whomever. Okay. And for the people who experience, it's not good enough. It's not good enough because, number one, we're scared. Number two, we just want to be believed. And number three, we really don't know what the hell is happening or why it's happening. So that's where I see a real benefit in this entire project from a completely different level than what you guys are talking about.
And I'll make a point about your statement. And you and I agree to disagree all the time, but I think the generalization that experiencers immediately go all to alien and non-experiencers don't is too much of a generalization. I've never seen a UFO. And when I hear a UFO sighting, when I hear about one, my thought process is it might be extraterrestrial, possibly. And I wait to see the data. There's a lot of experiences I interviewed in San Antonio that make statements like, I don't know what I experienced. It might be UFO related, but I just don't know. So the wholehearted embracing of either or doesn't always happen. There's a little of both on both sides. But you're right that the data can move this field forward, whether you're experienced or not. There's no logical reason to not gather the data, especially in a quality way. It moves us forward. We're all painfully aware that we have no answers. You have experiencers that want answers, that deserve them. You have researchers that spent 40, 50 years looking at this stuff and have no answers. Well, what's missing? Well, a scientific examination of the problem would get us there, at least closer. And at least science doesn't always give us all the answers, but neither does any other endeavor. Well, any other approach hasn't done it either. So.
Steve, let me ask you this: what would be the reaction of your team? And I know it could be hypothetical right now at this moment. It is okay, but what would be the reaction of your team if all of a sudden, say, you had one of these trackers at an experiencer's home, and the next thing you knew, it caught a craft, full body craft. You could see the entire thing about 50, 60 feet in the air. And not only that, maybe you see the lights bouncing off of it. Is that the ultimate goal for something like this?
Absolutely. I mean, if you can get a high fidelity video of something truly anomalous like that, and there's no confusion about what you're seeing, I think that's a huge win. I think that one video is enough to get a lot of interest in the academic community to look into UFOs. Absolutely. I mean, you need that one high fidelity piece of evidence, and everybody will be all over the topic.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I mean, who among us wants to find a video of a bug in a windshield, or a bird, or a Venus, or a misidentified helicopter? None of us. We want something truly anomalous.
True. Let's get to a question from Corey here, as we only got about 5 minutes left with you guys tonight. Corey is asking, who seriously thinks that if they get any actual evidence that the deep state will let them keep it? Seriously.
Oh, it's too late. By the way Steve's talking about storing this data and distributing it in the cloud with accesses everywhere, it's too late. The data's gone. They've lost control. That's the reason for doing it this way. Is the data is out there. They'd have to shut down the internet. I mean, come on. They'd have to shut down all the servers. And maybe I don't believe it. I just don't believe it can happen.
No, I think it would be too difficult. Consider this. Your tracker is going to have a copy of the data. A copy of that data is going to go to the cloud, and people are going to immediately download that data off the cloud. Once it's on the internet, there's going to be copies all over the place.
Okay, look, Steve, before we run out of time, I really want everyone to hear now all the different ways they can check up on Skyhub. So please go through the list.
All right. So you can check out our website at skyhub.org. You can come talk with the team and the rest of the community at chat.skyhub.org. Follow us on Twitter at Skyhub10. You can join our Facebook group called Skyhub. Let's see. Check us out on Patreon. We're there as Skyhub, and we're also on PayPal as Skyhub. The links to Patreon and PayPal are on our website at skyhub.org in the upper right under donations. And you can check out our wiki at wiki.skyhub.org with documentation about the platform and how to put it together, and developer documentation for anybody that wants to get involved in development. And I think that pretty much covers it. Did I miss anything, Bob?
I don't think so. But look, if you give $5, that's helps. And if you contribute a few words of editing to the wiki, if you just come and be supportive, you're going to help Skyhub succeed. It's just one of the most interesting projects I've ever been involved in and around in my life, and it's just really going to be fun. And I'm really hopeful and believe that the Skyhub's going to get somewhere. I am, Steve, I'm truly honored that you agreed to be the first visitor to this new segment on Spaced Out Radio, and it's good to call you friend and partner.
Oh, it's my pleasure coming on board, and I appreciate you inviting me to come talk.
Well, we kind of like you around here, sweet Stevie. We kind of like you around here.
I guess I'm all right.
Yeah, every now and then.
Yeah, so listen, Dave, are there any more questions from the listeners?
No, I think we're pretty good here for right now, as we got about 90 seconds left. You know, Steve, if you were to take a look at the next 30 to 60 days, what could people expect?
So expect a final version of the Skyhub tracker out. As soon as we get the final version out, we should be basically pushing our cloud infrastructure out and trying to get analytics portal available so people can start looking at data. And that's going to be our next big push, is really working on the cloud infrastructure and exposing this data to the public. Initially, it'll probably look a little raw, but we'll get that data out there over time. We'll definitely look at tools like Elasticsearch and Kibana and let people go in and sift through the data and watch videos and put together analytics and searches to kind of understand what we're doing here.
All right. And Science Bob, I want to say, this to you. I mean, you had a tough crowd here tonight. I mean, William Pullen, a veteran of this time slot, and me judging you. I think you passed the grade here, Science Bob.
Well, Steve and William made it easy, and you're too kind, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
A+.
It was A+. It was absolutely A+. Gentlemen, I want to say thank you so much for coming on tonight. And Steve, all the best to you with Skyhub and everything that you are doing with your fantastic team around finding the UAPs from a personal standpoint. I think for a lot of people who've experienced, especially multiply experienced this phenomena, this is just another piece of the puzzle that they can add to help confirm what they feel is going on. So kudos to all of you on your team. And Science Bob, and William, we will talk to you guys next month. Thank you so much.
Sounds good.
Oh, looking
Thank
forward to it.
All right. Skyhub.org is the website. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues right after the break. Thanks, guys. Let's give you a little round of applause for that's some good radio right there. Good radio.
That was great.
Yeah. Well,
It was fun.
We
It
need
was a lot of fun.
we need more science. More science. Sorry.
Steve, it was terrific, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, I thank you, Dave and Bob, for having me on. It was a great time. It actually flew by really quick. I had fun.
well, that's
It
good.
does always.
That's
it
good.
does.
All right, guys. I'll be seeing you soon.
All right,
All right.
we'll talk to
Okay.
you guys
Good night,
later.
gentlemen. Steve, great to meet you. Be safe.
Good night,
Nice to
guys.
meet you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That's a good time. Good time right there, people. Good times right there. All right, let's get ready for the news. God, I hate this new Facebook look. Drives me absolutely batshit crazy. Oh my God. Just drives me nuts, this new Facebook look that they updated to. It forced me to update today. Driving me crazy. Crazy. Oh, yeah, that story is getting in. Is today Wednesday? Yeah, it's still Wednesday here. Hi, Teresa. How you doing, beautiful? Fabster, I got a special Florida story for you tonight. You're going to like that one. Corrins, I did switch back to the old one and it flipped me again today. That's what I don't like. Lots of animal stories tonight. I like animal stories. I do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Shirky Poo got us some good news tonight. Yeah, we're good. We're good for the news now. Hey, Science Bob, you're in the chat room there. Thank you. Thank you. All right, we got 1 minute, everyone. Uno momento. For some reason, the super chat didn't turn on. So tonight's a freebie. You have to save your big bucks with no whammies for tomorrow. All right. I think we're going to do this thing.
That's tonight's
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
I'll get it figured out for tomorrow. YouTube's been wonky lately for me. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight. We want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Speaking of the news. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes, just sometimes, we get a little interesting around here. And, you know, one of the things that I love is I love animal stories. And Captain Shirk loaded us up tonight on those. Totally loaded us up on those. We're going to start off with... where should we go? Let's go here. I think this is a fantastic story out of Texas. A company that provides insurance comparison services has announced that employees now are being offered a $300 stipend to adopt pets. The Zebra, which bills itself as the nation's leading insurance comparison site, says it has begun offering employees $300 to help cover adoption fees for welcoming a new cat or dog into their family. To the company's knowledge, this is the first policy of its kind to be offered by an employer, the website said. The company said employees are also encouraged to take paid time off, paternity leave. Why do they always got to throw those stupid puns in there? Paternity leave, to help their new pet settle into their home. The Zebra said 6 employees have claimed the $300 pet adoption stipend so far. How cool is that? How cool is that? Some 300 dolphins were caught on camera this past weekend, stampeding across the ocean near Dana Point, the Orange County Register reported, down in California. The minutes-long video captured by Captain Dave's whale-watching safari shows dolphins leaping several feet into the air above the glistening waters, wowing those on board the boat. Dolphins move fastest while porpoising out of the water, since there is less resistance in the air than in water, of course. It's unknown why the pods of dolphins stampede, though. It's thought that the dolphins could be evading a predator, such as orcas, racing to catch a source of food, or meeting up with another pod of dolphins, because we all know that they are a horny bunch. Dolphin sightings off the Orange County coastline are not uncommon. A dolphin pod caught stampeding in waters near Laguna Beach made news around the world last year. Southern California is home to nearly 450,000 common dolphins. The species captured that on the video from the charter company. Now, if you've never seen a bunch of dolphins doing this, I got to see it twice when I lived on Vancouver Island starting my radio career. It is phenomenal Absolutely phenomenal to catch that. So if you ever get a chance to go on one of those tours, check it out. It's amazing. A German circus that has been closed for months due to COVID-19 has found a way to make a little extra dough on the side. How? Well, they're selling lion poop. Yeah, you heard me right. They're selling the deuce of lions. The Crone Circus says it's selling jars filled with big cat droppings, which officials said can be spread in a home garden to keep pets and wild animals from damaging plants. Lord knows I need that with the deer. Ripped apart my flower bed. Anyways, the circus says customers can visit the pop-up store during special business hours, Monday through Friday, and the jars of lion feces can also be purchased for shipment online. The circus erected a large sculpture dubbed Mr. Pooh outside the business to celebrate its new venture. The lions, they don't care. They don't get a cut of the portion. No, why? Why would they do that? They just get to drop the deuce for free. All right. Let's move on. I know. All right. I get it. Let's go with another animal story. Wildlife officials in Colorado say they are trying to locate an elk that was caught on camera with a car tire around its neck. Oh, there's no way to get it off without cutting its antlers off now. Maybe it was just pimping. That's it. Here he was, figuring that he would be the, looking good, big rubber necklace around his neck. Oh, yeah. There we go. Colorado Parks and Wildlife tweeted the video showing the bull elk wandering around while wearing a car tire like a necklace. The department said the footage was captured by a trail camera and rescuers have been unable to locate the elk. We'd love to catch up with him and free him of that tire, the tweet said. Jason Clay, public information officer for Colorado Parks and Wildlife, said the elk has twice been caught on the trail camera and they're trying to figure out where it's hiding. It kind of makes you shake your head. How did it even get on there, Clay says. He said wildlife officials are often confronted with similar situations involving elk. We see it too often when, there's a hammock caught up in it, Christmas lighting, roping, tire around its neck. Unfortunately, it happens quite a bit here in Colorado. I actually had a deer a year and a half ago, a buck deer, run across the road as I'm driving, and its antlers were covered in Christmas lights. It was awesome. I had Rudolph right in front of me, and he didn't even stop. Say hello. All right. An aquarium in North Carolina said it drained a wishing waterfall to cash in on 14 years worth of coins, about 100 gallons worth. The North Carolina Aquarium in Pine Knoll Shores said employees drained the waterfall, which for 14 years served as a wishing fountain for visitors seeking to trade their coins for good luck. The aquarium said employees sifted out about 100 gallons of coins, as well as objects including eyeglasses, toys, and jewelry. How the hell does a golf ball get in there? Anyways, officials said the money removed from the waterfall will go toward care of the animals at the facility, which has been closed to the public for nearly 6 months. They said employees do not know yet how much money is exactly removed from the waterfall just yet, but they are thinking it is a substantial amount. As long as it goes to the animals. How does a golf ball get in there? Okay, they're showing this picture. It's got Nemo, which you would expect, right? I think that's a straw. All right. A golf ball, a pirate coin, a plastic centipede. That's just what I could see so far. Oh, there's a pair of glasses right there, too. Maybe the guy got his eyesight back. The Arecibo Observatory, one of the largest single-aperture radio telescopes in the world, suffered extensive damage after an auxiliary cable snapped and crashed through the telescope's reflector dish. The accident left a 100-foot hole in the observatory, which stretches 1,000 feet over a karst sinkhole in northern Puerto Rico. The cable broke about 2:45 in the morning this past Monday, but the cause of the failure remains unknown, according to the University of Central Florida, one of 3 institutions institutions that operate it. We have a team of experts assessing the situation, said Francisco Cordova, Arecibo's director, in the UCF statement. Our focus is assuring the safety of our staff, protecting the facilities and equipment, and restoring the facility to full operations as soon as possible so it can continue to assist scientists around the world. Arecibo was the largest single-dish radio telescope in the world for decades, but it was bumped into second place in 2016 by the 500-meter aperture spherical telescope in China. Some radio observatories, such as the Very Large Array in New Mexico, consist of vast networks of antennas that take up far more space than Arecibo or FAST, but the latter telescopes are the largest facilities in the world that collect light in a single big dish. Arecibo also suffered damage during Hurricane Maria in 2017 when a line feed broke and damaged dozens of panels on the dish. Abel Mendez, director of the Planetary Habitability Laboratory at the University of Puerto Rico at Arecibo, said the accident is the largest structural damage since the hurricane. Our science observations, as many others, will be delayed, Mendez said in an email, noting that his team had just finished observations of Barnard's star, one of the closest systems to the sun. We will need to observe other stars, including some with potentially habitable planets, in the following months. See, they're using this to find aliens. Why don't they just say that? We're looking for aliens. Okay? The alien telescope is broken, probably a cable that was, built by aliens, dropped off here, okay, and it failed. There's no warranty on that. Now, if they would have used some good old-fashioned Canadian duct tape, wouldn't have a problem here. Wouldn't have a problem whatsoever. But they're looking for aliens. That's what they're doing. All right, let's move on. I'm over that one. Driver's license photos can be the worst. But one Tennessee woman is laughing after a clerical error left her without a picture of her face and instead with a picture of an empty chair. I was with my mom and we were going to eat lunch, and I said, "You need to see this. This isn't right," Jane Dodd says. Dodd had recently renewed her license in Hickman County, and when it came in the mail on Thursday, she was surprised to find that in place of her picture ID, there was a photo of an empty chair. The lady at the DMV did not really believe me when I was like, "Hey, I need my license fixed." Then she looked it up in the system and goes, "Oh, I need my manager on this." Oh, she went full Karyn. I need to see my manager. The Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security says the error happened when the wrong image was captured and saved to Dodd's profile. When the customer recently renewed her driver's license online, she received an image of a chair because that was the last picture taken on file. Maybe she's invisible. Wes Monster, Director of Communications, said, "When the department was made aware of her situation, we immediately made things right with the customer and provided her with a license with her actual photo and have addressed this situation internally. Luckily, Dodd mostly just thinks it's hilarious that it was a good way to lighten the mood due to coronavirus." Oh, yes, because this helped so many people that you got your picture wrong on your driver's license. "My boss thinks it's funnier than anyone. I was at work Friday, and he pointed to a chair outside of his office and was like, 'Oh, I thought this was you. I waved at it this morning. Okay, that's funny.' And I was like, 'Thanks.' Strangers even started sending her memes to social media to help capitalize on the humorous incident. By Monday, Dodd had a new license and a great story to tell. Isn't that nice? Scary incident here. Firefighters responded to a gun range in Florida. Of course it had to be Florida. I didn't even know that. To rescue a teenager who decided it would be really, really cool to close the door on a giant gun safe with him inside, right in the showroom floor. The Orlando Fire Department said the teenage girl climbed into the safe at Shooter's World in Orlando and then decided, let's close the door behind, trapping her inside, because there's just so much air in those things. Orlando Fire District Chief J.J. White said the Tower 10 crew used hydraulic extraction tools to force the door open. "We tried the manufacturer's suggestions, and unfortunately, the fail-safe system failed pulled on it. Oh no. The teenager was not injured during the rescue. We were able to tell the minor what we were doing from the outside so they wouldn't be too concerned or scared, and had them back away as far as possible from the entry point. Luckily, they got her out. You know what? They got to make sure that she pays for that stupidity. Have to pay for that stupidity. That costs people money. It costs company money. Probably a couple $1,000s for a big safe like that. Seriously. Make them pay. Who does that? And another thing, why didn't they have the proper code for this? If you got it on your showroom floor with the door open, you might want to have the security code, unless, some teenager comes in and thinks, oh, let's be funny and close the door on it. I'm going to go inside. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Finally tonight, this one's for Fap in our chat room because he loves a good Florida story. A Florida woman has been accused of shooting and wounding one woman and threatened another following a confrontation outside of a grocery store. 61-year-old Renata Gloria Ray of Green Acres was arrested Sunday afternoon, shortly after the shooting outside the Lake Worth Publix. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office said she was charged with attempted murder and aggravated assault with a firearm. According to an arrest report, Ray was exiting the Publix with groceries when she told a younger woman and a man to move out of her way. The two women began to argue, and Ray eventually pulled out a gun, deputies said. As the other woman was leaving the Publix, deputies said Ray yelled at her and demanded to know what she was looking at. The other woman began taking pictures of Ray with her cell phone, prompting Ray to get overly aggressive, pulls out the sidearm, and shoots the woman in the foot. Ray left the scene in a car, but was pulled over and taken into custody within minutes. A judge set her bail at $350,000 during a hearing. Yeah, she remains in custody still. It's not immediately clear if she had a lawyer who could comment on her behalf. Some people just should not have guns. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. Scientifically speaking, what do you want to learn about UFOs or UAPs? Start with Marty, one of our favorite veterans around here. We love you, Marty. Thank you. And a scary clown. Scary, scary clown. What exactly are they? That's what I want to know, Dave. Canadian Joe. 1. What are they? 2. Where are they from? 3. Who, if anyone, is piloting them? 4. Why are they coming here? John. Number 1. How are they flown? 2. How can they travel in space and underwater? 3. Are they alive? 4. Can they travel interdimensionally? 5. Can they travel in time? 6. Who built them? 7. Can I have a go? Oh, if you go, John, you better take me. So help me, you better take me. Michael, can the phenomena be localized and scientifically observed? Quinoa. Propulsion. Is it phase conjugation? Conjugation, sorry. Is it anti-gravitic? Wormhole technology? What's the deal, man? And can they make me do a solid by letting me have the patent, scientifically speaking, of course? And let's go to Katera. Explain multidimensional aspect, or all separate types. 2. What and why interest in raw nuclear materials? 3. Why experiment and harm people and animals? Joseph. I'd like to learn if the stuff used to build them are not found on Earth at all, like the kind of metals or electrons, components, and so forth. Augusto. If you cannot make something similar, why governments don't put money in I&D? Science Bob. How are they powered? How are they moved from one point in space-time to another? And 3, why? Buckle down. WTF are they up to? We see them both in the middle of nowhere and around our military. I do not buy this as a purely peaceful mission. If so, plenty of ways to display that, which they are not doing. Yes, because they've taken out so many military bases. Yeah, of course. Moving on. HL. I have many stories and also already know why they are here. Let's do a show sometime, Dave. Your show is great. Talk to Corrence, the booking guy. Nick, are they piloted by aliens? If so, give us the damn aliens. Ryan, I want to know about the biological attributes. Quincy, I'd like to know what kind of technology they've implemented where their crafts can be organic in nature, yet still retain an industrial structure. Also, how are they connected to the vessel telepathically? Ooh, that's good questioning right there. Very good questioning. I'm a fan of that one. Total fan of that one. Manitoba Becky, what are aliens studying when multiple members of the same family are abducted multiple times over generations? Good, solid question there, Manitoba Becky. Tim, what are they? Where are they from? And whose craft are they? Another Tim, piloted or drones? I suspect most are drones. Oh, Bobby squared. KY or Astroglide? Oh my. Nikki, how exactly they travel interdimensionally? Kira, I want to know how to fly one. Oh, well, aren't you greedy? Greedy Kira. Heidi, we need to learn about their energy sources and how they work so we can emulate that and build our own ships. Also, we can track them and start to learn why they are coming here. Penman, I want to know everything there is to know about the different types of craft and occupants in general terms. Ron, what kind of stereo do they have and where's the gun controls at? Davey, in true scientific method, there's only one question. Why? Kelly, how the hell can they accelerate and make 90-degree turns and dive and climb without turning the occupants into goo? Or the craft, for that matter. Nikki, why the Zetas are pushing the flat Earth myth. Barry, real simple, power source and propulsion technology for avoiding the effects of inertia, gravity, and creating sonic booms. Jim Goodall, how did they get from there to here? Jessica gets the final word because she slipped in late. I want to study the cat beings. I want them to be as fun as Earth cats. We can all sit around one night and sing Kumbaya and have a catnip party. Oh, that sounds like a good one. Thank you to everybody participating in the Thought of the Dave on Twitter and Facebook. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Thank you, Captain Shirk, for some great news on the SOR Newswire that can be found on our website. And, of course, to Science Bob, William Pullen, and Steve McDaniel from Skyhub for a great show tonight. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone participating in our chat rooms on YouTube, Spreaker, LGAB, Rev Radio, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, make a mistake, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Remember, everybody, the Woo train has docked for the night, but tomorrow we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, guess what? We got room for them, too. Have a great night. Good night. That's a good show, everyone. Solid show. Solid show. Take us home, Roy. Take us home. Just so you all know, Roy is my official Milwaukee drinking buddy. Even though we've never had beers together or watched baseball together, he's my official drinking buddy in Wisconsin. Nobody could take that away from him. Oh, man. Gotta get used to these new glasses. Can't even see the chat room. Like, if I look at the chat room, like I got a scrolling part right here, I can't even see it. It's like all blurry. I mean, even what PBR is writing looks almost gibberish, and he's pretty intelligent with what he writes. Hey, PBR, I'm a little pissed off. When we hit 121 listeners, you didn't mention that it was a palindrome. I look forward to that every night, man, and you screwed that up. So I'm blaming you for that. Hope you don't mind, but you're going to take blame for that one. Just saying. Yep, giving you shit, PBR. Giving you shit for that one. Oh, it's not rename. Jack Sleperon, how you doing, man? Welcome to Spaced Out Radio. Who else was new in here that I saw? Hey, Chris Mo, how you doing, man? Elmer, thanks for joining us. Mass Shadows, thank you so much for joining us, man. Appreciate that. All right, what am I doing here? Well, no, we're going to continue with the horns. It's rock and roll every single night. Rock and roll every single night. All right. I'll be right back, guys. I'll be right back. All right. I am back. I am back. Oh. Are you guys liking the new specs? Is this an okay look for me? Because I'm going to have these for a couple years. Not too sure. I really like them. Excuse me. I'm a fan of them. Do, 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 do. Kind of geeking out tonight because one of my favorite guitarists, DJ Ashba, followed me on Instagram today. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's kind of cool. Kind of cool. I'm pretty geeked up about that. Formerly in Guns N' Roses, 6 a.m. Watching him and Bumblefoot on stage together was amazing. It's got some new shit coming out. I'm looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. It's going to kick some ass. All right. I'm going to get some new Ashba swag. That's why I can't wait to get to Vegas so I can go to his store and buy up a bunch of shit. Hey, Jack. How you doing, man? Thanks for coming on in. Mm-hmm. So for those of you who are new to our chat room, wondering what the hell am I doing right now and why are we still recording? Because I am editing the show right now to get it prepped for a couple of our radio stations who will play it tomorrow. And that way, I am able to hang out with you guys a little bit longer. Hey, Karyn's the booking guy? Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, lovely and talented Nicole, still hanging out. Hmm. Why does that seem a little long? Oh, that's going to be pulling in there. Okay. Thank you, PBR, for the palindrome. Hey, Blue Chicken. What's happening, man? Haven't seen you around these parts in a long time. How you been? Hope you're doing well. Hey, Chris Mo. How you doing, man? If I hadn't said hi to you already, I apologize. All right, let's switch that sound. And let's go here. This is... $101 people is a palindrome. Just saying. Still trying to figure out how the hell my internet got unplugged. Still weird. Excuse me. How about those Canucks tonight? All right, let's move these over. Almost time to get your verification codes ready, people. Almost time to get those verification codes ready. So let's fire these up. Yeah, let's do this thing. All right. Your verification code for tonight is 611301. 611301. Use it wisely to verify what you have going on, people. So we don't want anybody getting hurt over this. Nobody getting hurt over this. So close, Corey. So close. Almost there. Oh, that one's almost done. So what's happening in the chat room? Anything? I have a magic 8-ball here, Blue Chicken. I don't know if you know that or not. I got jealous of Little Richie G's and I went and got one myself. Except mine's a little bit different than Little Richie G's, because mine's a Buzz Lightyear one. A Buzz Lightyear magic 8-ball. Uh-huh. We can play. All right, if you have a question for Dave's magic 8-ball, you let me know. And we can ask the Magic 8 Ball what your thoughts are. I'll shake it up. All right. I'm waiting for your first questions. We'll Magic 8 Ball the shit out of this. Is hockey a girly man's sport? Well, we're going to find out for the Magic 8 Ball right now because that's such a bullshit question. Here we go. Sensors read no. Next question. Will 2021 rock Magic Glorious 8 Ball from Ross? The answer is, well, it's a little stuck right now. Come on. You may rely on that or on it. All right. September 18th. Hold on. Chrismo asked the ball if on September 18th SOR will be picked up for higher level broadcasting galaxy wide. I forgot about that. Answer is infinitely yes. Let us hope. Let us hope. All right. Jack is asking, will I ever get laid again? Oh, Jack, I'm pulling for you on this one. Uh-oh. Don't count on it, Jack. Don't count on it. Please let us know if the Magic 8 Ball was wrong for you. All right. Jules, ask the 8 Ball if I will get internet before my husband gets a gold wing. Not today, Sheriff. Jenny, am I too old for the Tooth Fairy? Come on, shake it up. It is decidedly so. Is the human race owned for Martin? Come on, give us an answer. It is decidedly so. Oh, that's kind of scary. Hold on, what else we got here? Corins, does Dave listen to Coldplay while eating vegan salad? You bastard. The answer is that 100% no, but we'll see what the Magic 8 Ball says. I am all clear. Thank you, Magic 8 Ball. That is so true. This thing is so accurate. FAP, is breakfast for dinner acceptable? I can't show you because it'll twist, and I've got a couple burnt out lights that I need to change in here. I will show you next time, though. I'll get the lights changed. Okay, what was the question? Is breakfast for dinner acceptable? Sensors read no. Sensors read no. Perfect. Magic 8 Ball is never wrong. Never wrong. Gnome Squatch. Well, I get probed if I sleep on my stomach. As I see it, yes. All right. Can't ask that. Who invented electric stoves, Ron? Elmar, am I an alien in a human body? All systems go. You are an alien there, Elmer. Cookie, will Canada ever take Justin Bieber back? All systems go. So apparently he can come back to Toronto. We don't want him on the West Coast, though. When Skyhub goes online. When Skyhub goes online, Magic 8 Ball, will the machines rise up and kill all humans? Come on. You may rely on that. Uh-oh. Anthony, will the world see alien visits in the next several years? Levels are positive. We're going to get some aliens. Teresa, am I too old for the Beebs? Levels are positive. Apparently you are, Teresa. Sorry, but you're still beautiful. Let's see here. Blue Chicken, ask if there are rules for the 8-ball. Should I learn? My sources say no. You don't need to. Where are we tonight? Will 2021 bring humanity the real truth? I'm going to go out on a limb and say no on that. It says yes and beyond. Wow. Blue Chicken, does my bum look big in this? What kind of fucking question is that, dude? Batteries are low. Uh-oh. 8-ball. Come on, help me out here. Give Blue Chicken. Does he have a fat ass or not? Sensors read no. Absolutely, Waylon. Long live Skinnerd, man. Hell yeah. Pareidolia or not, will I ever break 1,000 subs? You may rely on it. Yes, you will. I'm saying you will. Is Dave too old for Grandma Rose? Oh, that's on the side. Come on. Still on the side. It's undecided. It won't give me an answer. Oh, there's one. Ask again later. Tommy L. Is Dave ever going to fly a UFO while awake? Intel looks good. I hope so. Overbuilt. Is he ever going to date a lesbian midget? Infinitely yes. Jack, is God real? In hypersleep. I don't know what that means. Gnome Squatch, am I too old to sit on Santa's lap? All systems go. Go for it. All right. Corey's the booking guy is on a blocking mode tonight. Hold on, I gotta share this. Hold on. There we go. That is done. Will China start the next global war? Signs point to yes. Some say they've already won it. Do all 8-balls know each other? Yes, and beyond, Blue Chicken. It's very deep. Should Nicole find another job? Ask again later, Nicole, so that for the time being, the answer is no. All right. Let's see here. Lil Cam, will Gen Z start a purge? Ask again later. Apparently not right now, man. We're going to go for like 2 more minutes here. 2 more minutes. Any more questions for our Magic 8 Ball? Any predictions? No. I'm laughing at you, Nicole. Can you show us your 8 ball? Yeah. There's my 8 ball. It's a Buzz Lightyear 8 ball. Will the Loch Ness Monster ever get tree fitty? Great question. Don't count on it. These things are accurate tonight. Totally accurate. Is COVID going to shut down your restaurant? Intel looks good. I don't know what that means. Are the Canucks going to win the cup this year? I already know the answer to that. But we'll get a confirmation from the Magic 8 Ball here. What did that say? Levels are positive. Uh-oh. Is this 8 Ball better than Goof-Ons? It won't answer. It's refusing to answer. No comment, I guess. All right, Tommy. Will Dave have the answers to all his questions before he passes? My sources say no. That sounds familiar. Would 2 Alexas get along side by side? All clear, Ron. They're good for it. All right. When getting an anal probe, do the aliens allow the opposite sex alien to do said probe so it is not as uncomfortable? You have my pity, Corey. I haven't seen that one yet. You won't have to find another job, Nicole. All right. Am I too old to sit on Dave's lap? Jules. Ooh. Well, let's take a little spinny-roo on this. As I see it, yes. That's from the Magic 8 Ball. But Dave's pretty jovial that way. I am like Santa Claus. Will our species endure from Martin? Reply, hazy, try again. That's cool. How old's your daughter, Blue Chicken? Ross, will Dave's E.T. Gray return with the mothership? Oh, mighty balls. When is Carl coming back soon? Battery low. Of course you're going to say that, Carl, you son of a bitch. Anyways, that's we don't want to push the Magic 8 Ball anymore tonight because we don't want to hurt its feelings, but thanks, Magic 8 Ball. All right, we'll put that one back. And I'm going to call it the night, everyone, because I got to get up tomorrow's my day off, but I got to go into the office for a bit. So we will check back tomorrow night, and we will see where it goes. That's a great age, Blue Chicken. Hello, little blue chicken, or little blue chick. I guess you'd be a little blue chick since you're still a child. But hello, I'm Dave. I hope you enjoyed this. Blue Chicken, thank you for stopping in, man. Appreciate it. Everybody else, love you. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll talk to you guys tomorrow night. We'll have more fun. Ali Siadatin tomorrow night. Angels and UFOs. Angels and aliens.